The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
Disease. Spreading the disease. With some help from Captain Trips, he'll bring the whole world to his knees. It's pretty apropos. Fucking sucks still. Welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 409 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is the world's most dangerous podcast and is recorded in front of an undead studio audience here at Castle Wolfenstein and also at the Lair of Lost Swag within the Raven Chateau. We're also broadcasting from Casa de Zero and also the Lair of the Gods. Once again, social distancing guidelines are still in effect. We are in 4 different locations. Soon to be 6 different locations later on. We'll get to that in a moment, though. On Trick or Treat Radio, we discuss at least one film a week. At least, because this week we're doing 2, or 1.5 maybe. Or was it 3 Raven Shadow? Which one was it?
It's fucking 3 fucking movies, Johnny.
Wait, or is it 3 episodes of a series, 1 movie, and a music video? What is it?
It's a fucking gangbang fucking film.
Jesus.
We covered the trifecta of visual entertainment.
Yes.
The video, the series, and the movie.
Yes. And Raven Shadow, you are so low wattage today. What is going on? I could barely even hear you in that intro.
Yeah. You sounded like Barry White.
Yeah, baby. Like Barry White.
You're like, disease. Spread the disease. You okay?
Well, I'm no Joey Belladonna, sir.
You're not. You're definitely not. But you can put some excitement into it.
I was kind of going for like a Pawnee Pool kind of
Put a
thing.
little bit of zazz in it.
Pizzazz?
No, zazz.
Disease.
Just zazz.
Disease. Spreading the disease.
Why is he saying it like that?
Hello. Disease. Like Rip Taylor. I'll come out with like straight from the heart. Buddy.
Wow. All right. So we are now live. It is episode 409, and we're almost in June here. We're at the end of May, last show in May in 2020. And on tonight's show, we, as mentioned, we are doing 2 films, or a series and a film, or however you want to categorize it. But we are doing, I guess, a blood double feature. We're going to be doing, first up, we're doing Blood Machines. The latest film from Seth Ickerman with score by Carpenter Brute. This is one I've been looking forward to for a little bit now. And this is the one that is a short, well, it's not a feature film. It's 50 minutes long, but it just debuted on Shudder, and Shudder broke it up into 3 little bite-sized episodes, which I'm not really sure why they did that. I assume that maybe 50 minutes just seemed like it was too short for a film, so maybe they decided to break it up. But regardless, we'll be talking about that. And then later on, we'll be talking about the film Blood Quantum, also a Shudder exclusive. And joining us to talk about Blood Machines in just about a half hour or so from now is going to be Greg and Jimmy from the Gimme 5 podcast. Now, you guys may remember... You guys listening, and also you guys hosts may remember them from Trick or Treat Radio. They've left voice messages on I think it was on our year-end show was the last time we heard from both of them. I remember I think it was Greg or Jimmy. I apologize, I don't remember. I think it was Greg, but one of them called in a Halloween Horror Nights in Universal. I don't know if you guys remember that, like kind of giving a rundown of all that. So. They've been, involved in the show from time to time, and they check in every now and then on the live show. So, a couple of friends who've gone off to do their own podcasts, and they're doing pretty well for themselves. So I figured it would be good because I know they've been hyping up Blood Machines quite a bit on their show, and they even had a discussion with the directors. So I figured it would be appropriate to have them on. It'd be a time for a Titanic team up, as we say. So we'll be joined by them in about a half hour from now. And until then, we're just going to shoot the shit. And then we'll be talking about Blood Quantum a little bit later on. If anyone's listening, wants to get in a voice message, there's still time to do so. You can send it to podcast@trickortreatradio.com. I would love to get some thoughts on Blood Machines because it's a really interesting, film/series. So I'd love to get some other thoughts. So if anyone out there listening live has seen Blood Machines, or if you've seen Blood Quantum, or if you just want to give us some shit, or just tell MZ that I don't know, like he looks weird in that muscle shirt without the muscles.
Yeah.
The muscles are coming. Raven Shadow mailed them.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then I'll be waiting forever.
Wait
They're in a
about
box
eight
downstairs.
months. Did you ship them yet, Raven Shadow?
I'm gonna.
Look at these guys.
You, Tommy Gunn. How come we didn't watch
Those
a
are
triple
negative.
threat of these movies and Blood Pig? Could have did that.
Oh, on Blood Pigs? We've already done Blood Pigs. Right, MZ?
I believe we did. Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, that was in the early days. First year, I think. Maybe you didn't watch it, Raven Shadow.
Oh, that would surprise me.
No. I at that time, I think it was so early. I wasn't on for the movie talk. I was just doing the comic discussions in those days.
Yeah, that could be it.
It's not a problem at all. I got plenty of noodles over there.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time great lines. Here's Johnny built a time machine out of a DeLorean.
Second
Don't
only.
worry, I got planes.
Second only to this.
I'm not the fucking Red Cross, and I'm no nurse.
Goddamn right.
Oh man. So that's what's going on for tonight. What else? You guys have any fun stories? Any quarantine stories for the week?
You know how I know this world isn't right?
Why?
Because for the first time in 20 years, I got a fucking sunburn.
Wow.
I did nothing different. Work outside, fine, do whatever. Came home Tuesday with a sunburn.
Well, what do you normally do? I mean, do you even wear sunscreen or anything?
No, haven't put sunscreen on in 20 years because I never get burned. Now all of a sudden, I'm burnt.
That's how you get cancer, Aries.
Oh, I got so much cancer. I got this nice little fireman's tan going there.
Wow,
nice.
Dude. Jeez. It's you.
Raven Shadow just doesn't give a fuck about this episode.
No, he doesn't. He's got so much shit going. For a guy who lives by himself, he's got so much shit going on in the house. It's ridiculous.
He's lost control.
Yeah. All these running things over there.
Oh, Christ.
So
Something about that.
what's that?
I said, do something about that damn cat.
Well, yeah.
The poor cat.
So MZ, how's quarantine life treating you?
Well, I go out when I need to go out. Otherwise, I'm in here. Which is pretty much true for just about everybody, I guess. But, I mean, it kind of sucks, because I want to go back to work. I want to go back to work, and I've been out of work now for 2 months, and it sucks. And I still can't get my I still can't get my my health insurance thing going on outside of work. I submitted all the papers and everything, and I've gotten no response in return as to what kind of coverage I can get or what kind of coverage I do have. And I've been calling and I've been getting nothing, and it's pissing me off.
Have Rimshot help you.
No,
No.
no.
All right,
No, I
fine. Yeah, you won't.
Yeah, fuck yourself.
Jeez.
Raven Shadow, you can't even handle your damn dog. How are you going to handle my health insurance?
Listen, there's a little bit of commotion. Chloe showed up. All of you didn't like that, and they were kind of having they were acting like cats and dogs.
Living
It
together.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, mass hysteria.
So
That's
Yeah. So it kind of sucks not having health insurance because, I get sick. I'm done. I'm pretty
Wait.
much done.
you'd get Cobra.
I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that shit. No way. That's a ripoff.
yeah,
if
it's fucking
anything.
expensive.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through Medicaid, and I submitted the paperwork. I got their paperwork. They mailed me the paperwork, filled it out, sent them the information, and I haven't heard back from them since. Nothing in the mail, no email, not a phone call, nothing. I've been trying to call them, but I can't get through. It's a pain in the fucking balls.
You know, it would be awesome if Marion Cobretti gave you a call. You want some insurance? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. That was weird. His name was Marion, right? I mean, there was
is that
weird-
some sort of weird fantasy fulfillment for you, Raven Shadow?
I didn't
Just
make
a
that
little
connection. Now say go for it. I love Stallone, but even like action people in the 80s had really fucking like Axel Foley, what the fuck, Marion Cobretti. There was some weird names of our action characters. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Oh.
I don't know. It's fine. Do you really have a problem with it?
I don't fucking know. I not have a problem with it. I just thought it was odd. Like I didn't know anyone named Axel. Axel Rock came very later. You know what I mean?
What about Achmel Rose?
Ackwell.
Achmel Rose.
Ackwell. Aqua Foley. Fucking love. Cop 1 and 2 is dope.
What is? Oh,
Beverly
Beverly
Hills
Hills. Oh, I gotcha.
So good.
There was an Axel. There was a character named Axel in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Played by Bruce Mailer.
How about that?
And the only reason why I know it's played by Bruce Mailer is because he also plays Spackler in the Police Academy movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. How about that?
How about that?
So,
And there's Axel Rotten.
Axel, yeah. Axel Foley and Axel Rotten. That's it, right? The only Axels? Axel Rose, maybe?
Axel Rose,
Axel Rose.
How many Axels?
Axel from Friday the 13th Part 4.
Oh, yeah.
There's an Axel in it's a show that just left the airwaves called The Middle. There was a character named Axel.
Well, there you go. There's 4.
4 Axels.
Yeah, great. We know. Holy shit! What was the jobber's name in NCW that we had?
Oh, that was Axel
Oh,
Whiplash.
Axel Whiplash.
His famous move.
The puppet master. Yeah, how could we forget Axel Whiplash?
Oh,
Yeah, well, you saved the best for last.
I think the problem was he had such a strong debut, but then like he was overshadowed by Dr. Worm.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the promotion wasn't big enough for 2 jobbers.
No, and there may have been a haircut involved at some point that may have ended Axel's career.
Corny's got Corny says, Wolfie, remind MZ to keep his voice down. We don't want his girlfriend to get on his case.
Yeah, we do. It's funny when she does.
It's good advice.
No carrots for you.
Man, that ain't happening.
And Corny
I
also,
realize though.
Go ahead. What do you realize?
I realized I was talking too loud earlier, and I decided to tone it down a bit. So,
And Corny says,
because
Raven,
otherwise, I know she's gonna come charging in here and start beating me or something.
wow. Corny says, Raven Shadow, we still need to make those Cobretti pizza shears.
Oh yeah, that's so fucking good.
Yeah, why don't you make those?
I'm gonna try. I mean, what am I gonna weld?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, me with a fucking lighter with a spoon. I'm getting there.
By the way, I don't know if the Castle Wolfenstein got a bit of an upgrade this week. You guys won't see it unless you're on YouTube or on the live feed, but I finally decorated a little bit. Corny, it doesn't look like the warehouse in Raiders of the Lost Ark anymore. This side does. The side that you guys see on my co-host, they see the storage side of the room, but the other side, actually, I got some posters up. I got a little bookcase, not quite finished yet, but getting there.
Yeah, look at you.
Got my Delamorte
Getting that
Delamore.
lifted look.
Yeah, it only took 8 or 9 months. Got that Delamorte Delamore poster back there. So coming together, but it feels good to.
Nice.
I got an awesome. You guys can't see it because it's over here, but an awesome Grimbro print of. Oh my God, I forget the character's name, but Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner. What was the character's name again? Do you guys remember?
I'm drawing a blank.
I have no idea.
Batty I think it was Batty, was it? Rutger Hauer. Yeah, Roy Batty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy. Yeah,
Roy,
Roy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a really awesome of him holding the dove in the rain. I don't know if you guys have seen the poster, but it's fucking brilliant.
It's great. I want that the Grimbro he did of fucking Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome.
So good.
So that's what's going on for me. As we said, we got a couple films that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be joined by the Give Me Five guys in about 15 minutes, and then we're going to start talking about Blood Machines, and then we'll wrap up with Blood Quantum. Corny hipped me to Roy Batty. Obviously, they're on a little bit of a delay, but he knew right away. But yeah, so it's a really cool. Maybe I'll post it up on social media or something so people can see it. It's really awesome. And I also have a couple other posters over here as well. One of a game that I helped to work on, and then a Frankenstein one over here. So
I have 2 questions, Johnny.
yes.
Did you hang up the 8x10 I gave you many, many years ago in your new studio?
No.
Oh.
What's your second question?
Are you? Well,
Are you going to?
Yeah. You're going to, right? That's
Maybe I'll put it. Maybe we'll put it right over here, right next to me.
Come on. Yeah. I'll send you a new one.
Where'd the pictures? By the way, where'd the pictures of MZ and Aries go?
We
Well,
get
they're
it
over
in 8
here.
months.
I see him over there.
Yeah,
I showed my mom.
you took them down.
No, I got him. I'll fucking get him right now. You think I'm fucking
Oh
scared?
no! Sit. Keep your bony ass in that seat. Oh Jesus
Yeah.
Christ!
And he gets up.
Oh,
He
boy.
fucking gets up.
He's gonna step on a cable. Everything's gonna go black.
Jesus, he's like a 3-year-old.
That's being generous. Oh, there it is. All right, he's got the pictures.
Wonderful. Let's
Why
sit
is
your ass
MC's
down.
bigger than mine?
Oh.
Genetics.
Oh, they're behind you now, huh?
Genetics.
Yeah. I'm hanging out with him.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys just saw what we were doing last night.
What?
It's weird.
Oh, I don't even want to know.
What?
Yeah, I don't
We're
wanna
hanging
know
out.
either.
No, we're getting comfy. We had some, lights on, just kind of watching, listening to some podcasts. It was nice.
Corny says the second question is, have you ever seen a 43-year-old man cry wolfie?
Lord knows I have.
In the mirror every day.
I cry all the time. I cried at fucking Spider-Man 2 the other day.
Which one?
Shut up.
I did.
The far
Not
from
even
far
like-
from home or the Sam
No,
Raimi
no,
joint?
the Tobey Maguire one.
Nobody
I took-
cries in a Sam Raimi film.
No, listen, it was,
There's no crying in Sam Raimi films.
no, I just taken Ollie out, so I was wiping his paws, and then it was on the regular cable, and it was the scene when Parker, he was like lost his powers, self-induced, because he was having guilt over Uncle Ben, and I think he told Ben that he was kind of responsible. And then so Aunt May is like cleaning her house out. She's moving from Queens. So Parker shows up and they're having this dialogue. And then over the course of the dialogue, she's like, oh, I wonder where Spider-Man is. The world could really need him. And Parker's like, oh, yeah, he just kind of went away. Basically, the scene was Aunt May knows that he's Spider-Man. She's just not saying nothing. And that conversation as she's moving out just kind of, I get a little bit of the feels. And I'm fucking crying and fucking not like angry cry, like really like
Why
that
would you
kind of stuff.
angry cry at that?
I think you mean ugly cry, not
Ugly
angry cry.
Thank you, Mary. See, he knows. Okay, he's married. He knows. Yeah, no, ugly cry, but just like I'm just like
You getting the
and always
vapors?
looking at. Yeah, I get a little moved. Maybe it's
You're fanning your eyes. Yeah.
I was fanning my eyes a little bit. The Aries knows. Just come over.
Boy, is he lonely.
Yeah,
Aries, just go over to his place,
Have you
will
t-
you?
Why don't you go over? You're the one not doing anything.
true. And shooting guns.
I would like that.
Have you?
I would. I don't know if like the right word, but if I came home,
have you
and,
touched
like-
anyone yet, Raven Shadow?
define.
You got to think about it.
Not including yourself.
I'm somebody, Johnny. Okay. My mother told me that.
Oh boy.
It sucks.
I
And
feel-
you know what? Don't give a shit because you were supposed to come over here and help me this weekend. You didn't.
You didn't call
Sorry,
me.
I didn't. Oh, him.
Him, yeah.
Wait,
You know
who's
how
him?
bad I screwed up because you weren't here?
Wait, I'll come over.
Wait.
What?
Hold on. Aries, you go over to Raven Shadow's place almost at the drop of a dime if he needs something, because he can't do it himself.
True.
But Raven Shadow, you can't go over to Aries' place to help
We'll go
him
to
out with
Aries'
something?
place.
He probably called his
hell's
mother
wrong?
to go in his stead.
Yeah. And while you're out, give me a pack of smokes too.
Ma, can you go to Aries' place for me?
I'll send my dad. I'll send Al.
Al, cool.
Oh, me and Al would have banged it out in no time flat.
Ooh,
Al's very handy.
he is very
I thought you were
handy.
gonna say he's very handsome.
Oh, man.
He's very handy.
That too.
I did see Al from far away recently, and his beard's getting close to Aries level. It's pretty nice.
Did you wave?
I did. I was, hey.
Hey, Al. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it was like my childhood. We just drove by.
Evil Corny
Not
says.
even playing Little League.
Evil Corny says Marissa Tomei is my Aunt Mary. Oh, Aunt May,
Oh.
not Mary. Aunt May.
She could be her too.
And he said Tony Stark dying in Endgame is cry-worthy. Spoiler alert. Jeez.
Oh,
Fuck,
Jesus.
dog. Yeah, no.
Wait, Tony Stark dies? Oh, looks like I just saved myself 3.5 hours.
I cried a lot in Endgame. I watched Endgame a couple of weeks ago, and I cried during that too.
Jesus, do you want to wear a pair of Huggies while we're at it?
Oh my
You're doing a lot of crying lately.
Wow.
No,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think you
put-
understand how Huggies work.
And he's like, you put them on your face to catch your tears, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Baby, I'm going to Walmart. Give me the Huggies.
Okay. Get you a binky and a bottle to drink. Oh, you already get a bottle actually. We'll get you a binky and a blanket and a stuffed teddy bear.
Did you say stuffed titty bear?
Teddy bear.
I want a titty bear.
Yeah, where's that? Build a teddy bear workshop.
What the fuck?
When shit reopens,
Actually-
I want.
There is something out there called the titty bear.
Perfect. And I have
Go get it. We want to see
Only
it.
I don't have one on me, asshole. It's called a titty bear. This is in no way a promotion. It's called a titty bear. TIDDY. And what it is that you put it on your seatbelt. It's a little teddy bear, and you put it on your seatbelt. So when you go driving, the seatbelt strap does not like sink into your skin and leave marks on you. It's the most asinine thing. But it's a real item. It's a real item, and it was on. They had TV commercials for it about maybe 6-7 years ago.
What channel?
You can't make this shit up.
Actually, they've had those for years. They were originally marketed towards children in booster seats because the seatbelt wouldn't sit right on them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Were they called titty bears?
I believe it was just a seatbelt cushion. Maybe
Big difference.
maybe I had the generic version.
The genetic version.
Yeah.
The great value version.
Yeah, it's like Vicodin and hydrocodone.
Yeah, it's called a titty bear, for Christ's sake.
The fuck? All right, well, moving on.
Titty bear.
So we are going to be connecting up very shortly with the dudes from Gimme 5. So let's let's pay some bills here, so to speak, Raven Chatham. And if you guys want to help support the show, there's a few ways you can do so. First and foremost, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/trickortreatradio. And there you can go ahead and help support the show for as little as $2 a month. If you guys want all of that sweet audio content, that would be $5 a month, and you get an exclusive episode every month. So go ahead, give that a look. One quick note about Patreon. I don't know how this is going to affect us. I've done everything that I needed to, but it looks like Patreon needs to start paying state tax. So some people may get charged state tax. I don't know if that means it just takes it out of our cut or if it charges people more. I think it comes out of our cut, if anything. So just a heads up. Some states will have to pay state tax for Patreon now. But we do all digital goods, so it may not even affect us. It's really kind of like a little uncertain. I tried to do as much reading of it as I could. So if you guys see any weirdness in terms of what you pay, if it goes up a little bit, it could be due to sales tax. But I think we pay for it. So if there is even a bump, I don't think our supporters will see anything because we don't do any physical goods. So just throwing that out there for anyone. If they see any weirdness, let us know and we'll look into it. And hopefully no one gets charged sales tax because they shouldn't, because we don't do anything that warrants sales tax. So yes, and we got to figure out something to do for our Patreon. So if you guys have ideas, you have ideas about what you think we should do for the next Patreon show, we still are figuring it out. Go ahead and send us some ideas. You can send them to podcast@trickortreatradio.com. You can go ahead and you can comment on Patreon or just post on social media in the Facebook group. And if you're not already a part of the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/trickortreatradio. And just ask to join. We'll let you in. The other way you can help support us, Amazon. If you guys shop on Amazon, go ahead and use our link. What you got to do is scroll down on trickortreatradio.com, look for the Amazon logo, click it. It's going to bring you to Amazon. It inputs our affiliate link, and everything you purchase in that session will get attributed to us, Michael Raven Shadow. It doesn't cost them any extra, but what?
It's another way to help keep the lights on. I see what you're doing. You're trying to say things out of sequence and fuck me up a little bit, but I was waiting, Johnny.
Look at you. Oh, someone just posted the titty bear. Perfect. Although it's TIDDY.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's TIDDY.
Oh shit, we got Hot Pants.
Titty twister.
Hot Pants and McGee's hanging out in the chat room.
Shit.
You guys remember Hot Pants? Speaking of NCW.
Oh, man.
He says I'm laughing my hot pants off right now.
Wow. What show was he listening to?
Can't be this one.
So if you guys want to help support, you use Amazon anyways. I don't know if you're using Amazon Fresh to get your groceries, or just if you don't want to go out in the world and you're getting your stuff through Amazon, just use our link. We'll get a little bit of a cut. We also
What's
have
the thing, Johnny?
What? What's the thing?
Can I just say, of course you're using Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, of course you are. Like, just
Of course.
of course. Like, there's nothing else you can do unless you go to brick and mortar stores. But I mean,
Or unless your mom comes and drops off your shit.
it's
Yeah.
true. I did get another text today. I get you to the cotton cigarettes, baby. And I'm like, Mom, you don't have to do that. Stop. But tomorrow's fine if you want to drop it off.
Well, you're like, why not tonight?
Yeah, I got some left. But no, I finally got hooked up with the Stitcher app. Marion talked me through it.
Wow,
So-
that must have been tough.
It's not for me, but for her. But no, so I'm downloading podcasts and awesome shows, and I'll just do that. Help but subscribe to us. You didn't got to listen, just subscribe.
Well, it'd be nice if they listen. I mean, if they're hearing
Yeah.
this, chances are they're listening.
Yeah, but just to subscribe, it helps. But I mean, we hope you listen, but at least add it to your favorites.
I'm sorry, you had to get talked through Stitcher.
I don't know how I got Stitcher. It's on my phone now.
Raven Shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard.
Oh,
echo.
I
What
just
the
heard an
fuck?
echo. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're lying.
Oh. Raven Shadow, you fucked it up.
What'd you do, Raven Shadow?
What'd you do, Raven Shadow?
I didn't touch nothing.
I remember.
Today.
No betting.
Yeah. Today. Well, it seems to have
I
gone away.
remember, don't worry. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I was just gonna look something up too. So Raven Shadow, yes, we are on Stitcher. Did you know that we're on like 8 or 9 other podcast places?
Should I? Well, I got Stitcher. What should I get?
We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. We're also we should be on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Deezer, Listen Notes, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, Castbox.
Wait, it's coming on the Castbox?
Yeah.
Is it like a Fidel Castro? That should.
No. Have you ever heard of a podcast? Cast
What?
box?
Oh.
Cast. That's,
Wolfie, do you,
Castbox.
Wolfie,
Monkey.
do you understand? Wolfie, do you realize that you're advertising to the actual co-host of this show?
well, it's a learning moment.
He's not going to learn it.
It might sink in and he might repeat it to someone else. Because that's what he's good at. He just repeats.
Are you good at that, Raven Shadow? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. See, I repeated. No. I mean, just give me a script. Not pretty much what somebody else said.
All right. Well, Raven Shadow, I know this was a tough week for you because you had to watch 3 episodes, 1 movie, and 1 music video. But tell the folks, how did you prepare for this week? What did you do?
I had a lot of ambition going into last weekend because it was 'cause I'm still working 9 to 5, more like 8 to 6. But no, I was we had a long 3-day weekend, right? Memorial
We
Day.
did, yeah.
So I'm like, and I get real excited. It's like, I'm gonna fucking build that deck I always wanted, or I'll make addition.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Stuck in my throat.
Fucking dust the fucking shit, and I'll read Walking Dead and fucking thank you, Corny. I'll finish John Wick 3. But really, none of those things really happened. I don't want to tell you what I did, but it wasn't productive. But no, overall, it was good. And I'm like, oh shit! Now it's Sunday. I got to figure out how to watch these movies, and I've been having a problem. I was having a problem, Johnny. But I think we can all agree that I overcame that problem.
You did not.
I did. And apparently, all I was missing was the key ingredient was
A password.
it's a cat.
Yeah.
I had the password, but turns out it's a capital D.
You needed the big.
Yeah, Rape Shadow needed the big D. It's cap sensitive.
Yeah.
Raven Shadow needs the big D.
Yeah, I get yelled at because like you yell at me for like the you don't need the .com, you don't need case set, but fuck case sensitive, okay?
Yeah, but that's different.
No. All right. Well, to all the fans and listeners, new subscribers, it's always capital D. It's dropped on for 3 fucking moves.
You go through your week with the same old routine.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it.
The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories.
With your hosts, John,
Josh,
and Luke.
We have action,
horror,
and adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
Find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
A podcast for the barbarian at heart.
Trick or Treat Radio, man. That's where it's at. That's the new Fangoria Radio.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
Trick or Treat Radio is the greatest podcast ever invented. The spelling is very bad. I'm not sure who wrote this. And the Deadites, is that a company that procures houses? The Deadites. Oh, it's the Deadites. The Deadites are a fantastic musical act. That is what I was supposed to say. And there you go. There it is. Cheeseburger. Remember to rent The Fly, because that's a good movie for making love to.
Jeff Goldblum, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can get you on the show again sometime soon.
All right, we are live. Hold on, I got an audio thing. I know how to fix it. One sec here. So we are adding on the fly. We're adding a couple people here, and I think there we go. Okay. So yes, so apologize for that shitty intro of our guests, but we're now joined by two hosts from the Gimme 5 podcast, old friends of the show. We are joined by Greg and Jimmy are now hanging out with us. Welcome, guys, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing awesome, man. It's great to have you guys. I am trying to work with the video, so people watching live, I apologize. I have you guys shrunk awfully small. I'm going to try to edit it a little bit as we go on here and as we start talking about the flick. But first off, if you guys aren't familiar, if you guys have never listened to the Gimme 5 podcast, you guys may know Greg and Jimmy have both contributed to Trick or Treat Radio in the past. I know Greg did an awesome piece of art for us for the episode. I believe it was 300, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe it was 300.
Yeah.
I stabbed some eyeballs for you people.
Yes, exactly. So we appreciate you stabbing some eyeballs. That means a lot to us. So, and also you guys have sent in some voice messages, and now you guys started your own show. And I want you guys, you can, break it up and split it, but tell folks about Gimme 5.
Jimmy, go ahead if you want.
Uh-oh.
We don't have Jimmy.
Well,
Jimmy, hold on. Let me see if we don't have you here.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about I'll work on Jimmy and Greg. Go ahead if you don't mind.
Okay. So, the Give Me 5 podcast. We it's a podcast. We do reviews of movies and books and video games and really whatever happened to have come out that week. Over the time, it did morph, and we of course did pick up on doing some cheesy 80s and 90s movies. Not always horror, but we do love horror. That's the reason we found you guys in the first place. So we occasionally will delve into that. The Give Me 5 part of it was at the end of each episode, we will make a top 5 list based on whatever we talked about. So, for example, if we talk about, we talked about the Never Hike Alone. So we did the top 5 Friday the 13th kills, or Jason kills for that matter. Recently we talked about, trying to think of some of the other ones. We watched the Last Dance. It's a sports thing, but we watched Last Dance, the Michael Jordan thing, and we talked about the top 5 documentaries or long form documentaries. So things like that. And we change it up every so often, and we have fun.
Yeah, so you guys have been doing it. You passed 100 episodes, and you guys hit that milestone several weeks back now, and you guys are kicking. And you guys do a weekly show, and it's pretty awesome. I listen to you guys. Unfortunately, not every week, especially now that I'm working from home. I barely listen to any podcasts, but I dig what you guys do, and it's lively. Definitely some lively discussion, and you guys do a good job with the 5 questions every week and everything. So I dig it.
Yeah, we actually started recording on the same night that you guys used to record.
Yeah.
So I used to like clear my schedule, and I'm an educator, so I would sit there and grade and listen to you guys be surly.
We're sorry.
And my grading would get more and more surly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was starting to grade with Boston accents for a while. But
that's a wicked ass kid.
Fucking school son.
And then then we ended up recording on the same night as you guys, but I'm glad you kind of switched to the Thursday. I'm back to being able to grade offensively, so to speak.
There you go. Happy to help. Jimmy, I don't know why I didn't do anything different, but I don't have you. So could you try to talk again, please, Jimmy? Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Nothing.
Maybe disconnect real quick, Jimmy, and I'll send you another invite, and we'll get you back in. I don't know if something happened in transition from break to live here, but let me try to re-add Jimmy here. So yeah, so it's okay. There we go. Let's see if we can add them in. I know this is great radio, but we'll see if this worked here. But yeah, I was excited to get you guys on because I know you guys recently, you guys have been hyping up Blood Machines, and it seemed appropriate that we have you guys on. So, Jimmy, we got you back. Can we hear you?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
It was just one of those
Sorry about
great Skypeisms.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to get you guys. Trying to get your video to squeeze into one box. It's very awkward and very weird. But so Jimmy, Greg was just kind of talking about the show a little bit. So if you would tell people where they can find you guys, where online, where the show is, how frequently you guys drop, all that thing.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, you can find us at giveme5podcast.com. It's a website very much under construction, but the 5, as I say, every episode is spelled out FIVE. You can find us pretty much everywhere else. Instagram, Twitter at GiveMe5Pod. You can interact with us on Facebook as well, just by searching for us.
And of course, for listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So if you guys have yet to check out Give Me 5, I would say this is a good opportunity to go give them a listen and check it out. And especially after we talk about Blood Machines, if I know, Jimmy, you did an interview with Seth Ickerman with the directing duo, which is
yes, sir.
So how did that all, before we jump into the movie, how did that all come about? And I guess you can kind of maybe wait for some of the tidbits while we talk about the movie, but if you want, feel free to set up that interview and set up any of the discussion that you guys had.
Yeah. Back in 2016, after the release of Turbo Killer, the music video directed by Seth Ickerman for Carpenter Brute, I had reached out just asking a really broad question as to Greg and myself both work in graphics, and I worked in education with him, but at the time we were looking for ways to improve our output, really. And I reached out to them, asked them how they achieved the effects that they did in the video, and they sent me screenshots of their entire After Effects comp. So
wow.
Yeah, and it was very much, you never know if you're going to ask somebody, hey, how'd you achieve that look? A lot of times it's, I'm not going to tell you that.
Right.
I'm going to keep that to myself. But these guys were very gracious in sending that, and I saw a trailer for Blood Machines. I said, hey, that looks really familiar. Reached back out to them. I had their email address, and they wrote back immediately, and we're on board for an interview. So, you never know.
Yeah, no, that's super cool, and I'm glad that you called that out. Like that's, because you're right. Like that's something that a lot of times people will keep under lock and key, and it's amazing that they just kind of just send you screenshots. That's incredible.
Yeah. So we got back into communication, and the rest is history.
And so just to set up a little bit here, so we'll kind of go into the discussion of Blood Machines here. It just dropped on Shudder. I believe it was, you guys know, I think it was the 21st, was it? Or
25th.
25th, okay, yeah.
No, that would have been 3 days ago. Was it?
It was within the last week. That I do know.
It was within that window.
Yeah.
21st to the 25th. One of us is right.
So as Jimmy had said, is directed by, I was saying Seth Ickerman, but it sounds like Seth Ickerman.
Yeah, that was like the first question I asked them.
Yeah.
I asked them, and they corrected and said, most people say Ickerman.
I think it's the CK that throws me off.
Yeah.
So and just to call out their names is Rafael Hernandez, and I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, but Savitri Jolie Gonfard, something along those lines.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So it's it sounds like a person's name, but it's actually a directing duo. They go by Seth Eicherman. So it is two directors. And yeah, as Jimmy called out, they had did a wildly popular video for Turbo Killer from Carpenter Brute, which dropped in 2016. So if anyone had seen that, people probably know who they were. Probably got on their radar pretty quickly. It was a fucking amazing video.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and really just like showed such a cool, just sort of like grasp of sci-fi, and obviously their visual style is second to none with what they have available to them. So that video alone was outstanding, and I know that video got a lot of people into Carpenter Brute alone. So, so
certainly myself, yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of
9.2 million views on YouTube.
Jesus, that's nuts. And it's funny, I forgot to mention that to the guys because they watched Blood Machines, but I don't know that had any of you guys, any of the Trick or Treat Radio hosts, had you guys seen the Turbo Killer prior to this week?
No.
No.
Yeah. So that was, so you guys weren't even familiar with the visual style, so you definitely came at this from like definitely fresh eyes. So, and we have done some films that may be slightly reminiscent of this. The things that come to mind, and I'm not necessarily comparing them, but I would say Manborg definitely in terms of the budget and using a lot of green screen and a lot of visuals, using visual effects. And the other one would have been like Kung Fury, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And Kung Fury, actually, I didn't know this until watching the film, but David Sandberg, who is the creator of Kung Fury, was one of the producers on this.
He was, yes. And he served as a kind of like a creative sensei for the film for the gentleman in Carpenter Brute. Or not Carpenter Brute, I'm sorry, Seth Eicherman.
Yeah, and it shows because you can see, and I read like a quick little thing about it. It seemed like it was like more of like a kindred spirits. Like David Sandberg kind of saw what they did and realized that they had a lot of similar things. So he's like, hey, we should work together. And they were like, holy fuck, this dude wants to work with us. And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
So
took them under his wing, and hopefully we'll be seeing something from the both of them in the near future.
Yeah, and that's super cool because we do have Kung Fury 2, which went from low budget 20-minute short to like medium-sized budget Hollywood film kind of.
Yep, still on track.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. So obviously, and they even got Schwarzenegger, which is fucking awesome. So yes.
I wonder who he's gonna play.
So this already has a pretty good pedigree coming in, and the other thing as well is they've had. I knew there was one Kickstarter, but I didn't realize they had done two Kickstarters for this. They did basically like a pre-production and also kind of a post-production Kickstarter, and so the first one raised just over it was obviously in euros, but in terms of American dollars, it was 200,000 for the first one in 2016, and then the second Kickstarter they ran for post production was 130,000 basically to help fund the post production, and that was in May 2019. So they had a lot of crowd support for this film, and you can tell that they put every single dollar into this.
Mm-hmm.
So good, good on them. It's really awesome, and obviously, the relationship with Carpenter Brute is kind of what spawned this. And having Carpenter Brute do the music is, I don't think it would have worked nearly as well without it.
Yeah, it's a fun story how they came into contact. Carpenter Brute had seen a short film that they had done previously, asked them to do a video for them. They said no. And they said we're not going to work for free. We've done that so many times before, and I think it worked out pretty well for both of them. And this 4-minute and 15-second music video turned into a 40-minute film.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you're right. That definitely spawned this, and their relationship just continued to grow from there. So, aside from the fact that you guys have both seen the film, and Jimmy, you had spoken with Seth Eicherman. I know you both. As educators, you work in the digital medium as well. So I thought that you guys might be able to provide some insight into sort of some of the artistry behind this as well. So let me quickly run down some of the information here because I hadn't done that yet. So let me pull up Blood Machines on IMDb and give you guys the details here. So it is 50 minutes. If you're watching it on Shudder, it's padded out a little bit because they break it into 3 episodes and add titles, or rather add credits at the end. So it balloons out to be about 57 minutes if you watch all of it on Shudder. And this is it is definitely sci-fi kind of. It's almost like a 50-minute music video in a sense with some dialogue. It's kind of a interesting way of looking at it. And as mentioned, directed by Seth Eicherman and written by Seth Eicherman and Paul Lafarge. And it stars Eliza Lasowski, Anders Henriksen, Christian Eriksen, Natasha Cashman, Walter Dickerson, and Jolie Berkmans as Mima. And obviously we have a whole host of other actors and actresses, but those are sort of the main ones here being featured. And the synopsis: an artificial intelligence escapes her spaceship to turn into a female ghost and challenge 2 Blade Runners to a galactic chase. So I will say the plot is definitely pretty thin on this, but that's what was needed. It didn't need more than a one sentence plot, because that's essentially what this is. So
yeah.
let me quickly go around because I know obviously you guys have talked about this both on your show, Greg and Jimmy, but let me go around and get some impressions from any of the guys on my show. MZ, I know obviously you're a big fan of Kung Fury and of this style. What were some initial impressions?
Well, when I was watching this, I was thinking,
out with a laugh.
When I was watching this, I was thinking, what if, when I saw this, the ultimate synopsis for me as far as what this is what if Panos Cosmatos worked with Astron 6?
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Because it has so many of both styles in this movie or series. I don't know what you want to call it. I'll call it a series for now. And honestly, I really don't know what to make of it because it's a visual carnival. I mean, it's one of these things that you have to watch multiple times to get the full effect. And I've only seen it once. I will be seeing it a couple more times because there is just so much to take in. Despite the minimal plot, visually there is just an overload of detail and just different items that are just on the screen that's just overwhelming the senses.
Yeah,
which is not to say I didn't like it. I did. I dug this, man. It was awesome. I want to see more of this. I was kind of disappointed that it was only 50 minutes. I would like to see a couple more hours of this. This was great. I'll admit that, there were moments where I just didn't understand what was going on. But I think, like I said, that has to do with the overload of visual candy that's on the screen. That's just, you watch that, it's so hard to take in the plot because you're just being blown over by the visuals. So this is definitely one that needs to be seen more than once. And if you caught it the first time, then watch it a few more times because, even though I couldn't really get a full understanding of what was going on, I got some parts, but to get the full reaction out of this movie, I would say that you have to watch it a couple more times. But I liked what I saw. I loved what I saw. In fact, I thought it was great.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is just, as Jimmy had sort of alluded to, I'm sure this is just sort of a platform for them, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more. Like the fact that Shudder picked it up, it was originally going to be crowdfunding, but now Shudder picked it up and then ended up, they've been repping it pretty hard too. Like it's on the front page, and I've seen a lot of social media about it as well. So they definitely believe in it, and I think that's right, MZ. I think Panos Cosmatos definitely. Obviously, he is inspired by a lot of other filmmakers that came before him, and one of the things I thought of while watching this is it's almost like that end scene in 2001 when Dave is sort of like traveling through space and all the visuals. It's almost like that for like 50 minutes. It's almost like a trip like that. So it definitely it's really sort of an interesting piece, and I'm glad it exists. I personally, I think I would have liked to have seen it more in one sitting as opposed to kind of 3 discrete sections, but I understand why Shudder would have done that. A 50-minute movie is a little maybe harder to grasp for some people, so I could totally see that. How about Raven Shadow? Aside from all the nakedness, what'd you like?
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. The cast of the Beautiful Lovelies, writhing like weird, like sci-fi Frazetta paintings.
Yeah.
It's a great description.
Yeah. And this isn't an apples to apples comparison, but what came to mind was like Liquid Television meets Astron 6 meets Jim Starlin's Fever Dream, a little bit of Heavy Metal Magazine, and maybe some Geiger thrown in there and put blend. You know what I mean? And see what happens. It was interesting. So that's my quick kind of like what I took from it.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized I'm not smart enough to understand. It's like I'm a big dummy, and I wish Johnny was over to explain it to me. But I was.
Makes two of us.
Yeah, right. Somebody come over. But it was a lot. It was a lot. But I was into it. You know what I mean? And I do think I would have preferred to watch it all in one sitting, and maybe that was part of the sell. I mean, because it was like, all right, get to the fucking, the credits at the end to get to the next part. But it was kind of wild, and I'm kind of intrigued to discuss what maybe we all took from it plot wise, because actually watching the video, the 4-minute video, I have a different perspective of where I'm gonna say the film or the whatever the fuck film series ends up, but I have some thoughts of what happens to not only the world and why they're in space as a result of what happens on Earth. Does that make sense in a weird way?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so. I mean, I don't know exactly either. I don't know if either of you guys, Jimmy or Greg, if you have any insight into that after speaking with Seth Eicherman. But do you guys have any insight into sort of where this landed as opposed to Turbo Killer?
I think Raven Shadow makes a really interesting connection. Going back and watching the music video.
Timestamp that. So it's a Raven Shadow. Good point.
It's the first time it's ever been said.
Jimmy, I told you not to say anything embarrassing.
No, where it could very well begin on Earth, or it could very well begin on another planet or another dimension. It's all very cosmic and chirpy, but in a lot of ways, this I'm struggling as I say this because it's just so trippy. In a lot of ways, I think Blood Machines could be a prequel to Turbo Killer, but it's not.
Yeah.
It just says Turbo Killer is a prequel to Blood Machines. So they're tied in together. Some common themes that I'm sure we'll discuss. And I'm very interested in seeing what you guys think of that as well.
It's interesting you say that because I actually thought the same thing. I thought that like in terms of I could see it both ways, but at the end of Blood Machines, I'm like, okay, now Turbo Killer makes a little bit more sense. So it almost is like it leads into Turbo Killer, but in terms of ramping up the escalation of it, Turbo Killer definitely is sort of more on a smaller level, whereas this is on a much broader scale, much larger scale, you know. So it is interesting to try to tie the two together. Let me quickly get some thoughts from Aries about this, and then we'll go to Greg after that.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to because so much has been said already. The obvious tie-in it is there between the two, but picking which came first, it's difficult because you know, it's like I said, it's obvious a tie-in, but where do they lie? It's not obvious because of the simplicity of the plots to both. But that being said, the visuals of these—that's the more important thing. I got, you know, beyond all the references that have been said already. What struck me was an extended cutscene from a video game. That it was just kind of like a loose plot to tie in more of an extended universe. That's where my mind went with this. That it was such a vague plot that it could just exist in an open world universe for a video game. And that really intrigued me because the video game world, as Johnny knows, it's immense right now. It's huge. Like, I would love to see this world in a video game. I would love to play that.
Absolutely.
The way these characters are, like, it was like I want to watch these characters. I want to play these characters. I want to be these characters. This was such. It was amazing to watch this. Like, I was like open jaw watching this, and the fact that they broke it up into 3 episodes, I hated that. Like, I was so enthralled with it, and then all of a sudden credits are running, and it threw me off because I didn't know if something was going to happen at the end of the credits. So I watched the credits. Like, I wanted to continue the story, but I don't want to miss anything. So I'm watching the credits, like, just like kind of like, come on, get to it, like, you know. And so, but yeah, just visually, this is amazing. Sorry, I will ramble.
You just gushed. I like that.
I love sci-fi, and this is just amazing. Sorry.
Jesus, love it.
All right, let's check in on Greg and his impressions.
So I'm always worried about something that's new and really artistic when it's something from people I really respect. Because, you know, you look at the list, I'm looking at it right now, the list of visual effects people in this movie, and it's really small, considering it's a 50-minute movie with every frame has some sort of visual effect. But I'm also not there behind everyone telling them as they watch this when they're like, what's going on here? To be like, do you have any idea what you're watching and how hard it was to do? So like going into something that's really artsy and where, like, even if I tried to explain it, be like, yeah, it's really cool, it's awesome, it's got really great ideas, and we're like, what's it about? You're like, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, it's awesome, and I loved some of the big ideas, and I loved, you know, as I was watching it, I knew about halfway through, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna have to see this again. I think universally, the fact that it was split up into 3 has been loathed by just about everyone that's talked about it.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty sure Shudder had something to do with that. And it was a visual treat, and it had some really interesting ideas. And I think they left a lot up in the air for people's interpretation, like people like us that like deep dives into sci-fi.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, and I think that they made a good choice in that regard because the plot is easy enough to follow in terms of it's not convoluted where you're, you know, there's this person coming in, you're like, who's that and who's this, and, you know, where is this person coming from and what are they doing, what's their motivation? Like, you know, there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was a few characters. It was pretty easy to understand. I mean, the idea of a woman coming out of a ship maybe is a little abstract to some people, but I mean, in essence, it's sort of the spirit or the ghost of the AI that is kind of freeing itself, and it's that sort of, and once again, this is definitely up for debate, but it's that sort of like man versus machine, and in a sense, machine in this was woman. It was almost like man versus woman in a sense. And even in some of the visual style, I noticed different color schemes as well in terms of where the men had dominion. There was like sort of more like kind of like earthy tones, and when they're in space, when the women sort of were more in control, there was sort of more like pinks and purples and blues, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought that was kind of an interesting choice there as well. Raven Chow, were you going to say something?
Kind of, yeah. Like funny, the whole the synopsis is the malfunctioning AI, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's funny that the malfunctioning AI was a droid that had like a weird pregnant form.
Yeah.
And so it was like the female was, oh, she's crazy. That's why it's the problem. Or is she having her own mind now?
Right.
And not,
yeah.
Is she becoming aware of her surroundings and maybe not subservient to the crew of the Mimo? Is that what it was? Momoa?
Mima.
The Jason Momoa?
Yes.
Yes, Jason Momoa.
I would fly that ship. Not gay, but you see a unicorn, you're gonna ride it, right?
Wow.
But I like that droid. And what was the name? Was she
Tracy?
Terry?
Tracy. Yeah, I believe the Mima was the ship that they were tracking down.
Yeah. So the first woman that came out of the ship, that was sort of like the AI, the spirit or the ghost or whatever you want to call it of the Mima. But yeah, I thought that and one of the things I wanted to call out was the design of Tracy, the ship AI. I thought was very grounded in sort of traditional sci-fi, but somehow felt like something I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
It had some Fritz Lang, like some Metropolis, like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was thinking Metropolis as well.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely got the Metropolis thing, and then the fact that the top of the head was kind of tilted. It was a very simple decision that was sort of unsettling, and it almost reminded me, just as an artist myself, is like when someone will like bump something or nudge something and by accident, and it ends up looking better than what you're actually trying to do. You're like, oh, yeah, I'll keep that. And I just liked the decision. Like every time it was on the screen, I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, and the way that the head spun.
The fact that it was half the head. Just the top one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting decision, and I think that once again, it's. I think if you're going to kind of try to break new ground in terms of sci-fi, or even really any genre, but especially sci-fi, I think kind of like standing on the backs of the tradition of what came before you is really smart, but then kind of pushing it forward a little bit. And I feel that they did a really good job of that in this, in everything. Like the ship design felt kind of familiar, but alien and different, like something we had never seen before. So I think they did a lot of that with the design, and with the AI, with the even in space, the way they portrayed space was not quite like anything I'd seen before, if that was space, if you want to call it that.
Was it?
But I think there was a lot of really, really interesting decisions, and the visual style. I mean, it was stunning. It's clear that they had a decent budget, but not the kind of budget that you might imagine from seeing this. I obviously don't know if they had any additional funds aside from the Kickstarter, but they definitely took every single dollar that they had and put it into this, and what they're able to achieve, I think is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I can tell you that David Sandberg did not dump a whole bunch of money into it.
Yeah.
Shudder didn't fund it. So everything that they did, I mean, they're incredible artists. in their own right, and this was split between I think 6 different VFX studios, all handling different parts of it. But the team and Seth Eicherman is certainly capable of doing that. I mean, this is a 3-year project.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Between a handful of people.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
I could only hope to be able to say that I've done something that great with my artistic career.
And what you called out, Jimmy, is like, I think it was, I actually apologize if this is Greg or Jimmy, but one of you guys had said that every single frame of this is has some sort of visual effects, and you could take a screenshot from almost any part of this and it looks like a piece of art.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's one of the keys to good visuals.
Yeah.
The attention to detail is insane, and like you said, you could take that screenshot, you could run it through some crazy ass CSI stuff, computer enhanced, and get it right up in your face. And that even each pixel has got a little bit of love in there.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, because of the amount of detail, I was looking around on the screen several times just to see if they, maybe cut any corners, maybe not completing a certain, completing a certain item in one frame or whatever, but it looked, I mean, from what I saw, it just looked like this was done with an awful lot of care and an awful lot of respect, because I didn't see them cutting any corners as far as the visuals went, and that goes a long way with me. That's spectacular.
I noticed that when the spaceship first came in, and it had those kind of big sweeping wings, but along the wings it had those little teeth-looking flanges that were kind of moving in and out.
Yeah.
And we've seen a million spaceships land in shows, and they spent an awful lot of time just adding detail to those. And that was early in the movie, so it really sold it to me very early.
Yeah.
When I saw that.
Yeah. Like the gun that they had. On one side of the gun, you could see the heat emitting from the side of the gun and given that kind of watery, wavy appearance. I love that shit. That's great. That's the kind of detail I like to look at.
And even
they could have just left it alone and said, it's just a gun and here's some green light coming out from the side of the gun. But no, they decided to add a little intensity, I guess you could say, to the gun.
Heat shimmer.
By the heat, by having that heat shimmering coming off the side of the gun, which was awesome. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And you can't help but respect that.
What were you gonna say, Rain Shadow?
Even it's some cool visuals too. So we see the ship land, and we see the captain and his first mate maybe or whatever. Ask Black Mirror Han Solo shows up. But he had a cool with his fucking who's the guy from Airwolf?
Oh my god.
Borgnine?
Jan Michael Vincent, I believe.
Awesome. It was Jan Michael Vincent. But
I'm going to leave now. That's my moment. I can go.
Tom Bray?
Even having his gun on his
maybe Tom Bray
back was a great visual. It's like having Cap shield. It just was a cool.
Yeah.
It just added something to the look of it. Because you can't put that in a fucking holster.
The fact that he did that with the gun, that added to the video game aspect for me, because it was just unrealistic. He just threw it to his back and it stayed.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually just looking through IMDb and looking at the screenshots, and every single one is fucking beautiful. It could be a desktop wallpaper or a poster or something. It's ridiculous. They really went above and beyond, and even some of the iconography of that they use over and over, the upside down cross. There was that sort of 5-sided symbol with the sort of what looked like a lotus flower or something in the middle. just the iconography they use throughout is also pretty stunning. And I got to say that last the end, like when they're going up against the big ship, when all the AIs are there, and I'm forgetting her name, but the woman puts on the gas mask. That whole scene, holy shit, was that fucking amazing?
Oh, you know what? I had no idea what was going on, but oh my god, I was so just involved in that.
Yeah, it was like being on the edge of your seat when it was going on. It was just like, holy fuck. By the way, the character's name was Corey, the one who ends up putting on the mask at the end. But that whole scene with, especially even to a degree, there was a little bit of choreography there as well with all the sort of the women. I wouldn't call it dancing per se, but the movements and the way they moved and everything was really well put together.
Oh, that 100% had to be choreographed and it planned out. Like that alone, just to organize that.
Ravenshire, what were you saying?
I was dancing with myself watching some of that scene.
You were dancing with yourself?
Yeah, it's a billion.
I don't even want to know what you were doing to yourself during that scene.
Just told you. I like bad girls with upside down crosses on their stomach. Apparently, that's I'm into that. If that was like a tattoo on like a goth girl from like 1997, I'd be fucking sold.
I need to interject here real quick because our third host did want to. He's a nurse, so he is currently slammed at work because he's a surgical nurse and all the surgeries have been opened up. So he did want me to say he wishes he could be here, but also I was reminded of that because he too was very interested in the upside down cross women.
Right.
That first thing I just said was a lie, and he's really just home alone with this movie.
Oh, I like
it. He is the Raven Shadow of our podcast.
They all had red hair.
Oh, I think we lost Jimmy again. Yeah, you just cut out again, Jimmy. I heard you for a second, and then we lost you. So let me go ahead and let me add Jimmy back in here. See.
Are we good?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
And I want to see.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, got your back.
There he is.
Every time I hit mute, I turn off, so I won't do that.
Weird. Go ahead. Whatever you were going to say, Jimmy.
No, I was saying our third person there absolutely loves redheads and the amount of nudity in this, but he draws the line at inverted crosses. It seems. You guys talked about the end there, and not to circle back too much, but that whole control and being controlled part of that is definitely. I mean, if you've seen the video for Turbo Killer, that for me was like, okay, there it is. There's the biggest connection in there.
Yeah.
Between the two. So, yeah, that the end scene was bonkers. I'm getting goose flesh talking about it. Just insane.
And by the way, is Rob actually a nurse?
He is. He is actually.
Well, I apologize that Rob is not on here. I didn't know if we could handle 7, and I know you guys, but we appreciate Rob doing everything that he does because I'm sure that he is insanely busy and doing a lot of great work. So we appreciate it.
His one day off is technically the day we record, and then he never knows.
Yeah.
He can't make promises any other day because he's always on call, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I imagine it's pretty crazy down there where you guys are too.
For the most part, I don't know. I haven't left my house in months, so.
Yeah, I barely have. I think I left twice in the last 2 months. So, so we could start to wind things down here. Was before we head to a verdict, though, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the score, because the score is as much a part of this as the visuals. It's they work in tandem so well. And I've actually listened to, so even before I saw this, I had been listening to the score because I do enjoy Carpenter Brute anyway. So I listened to it. But when that title kicks on at the beginning of episode 2, I was like, fuck yes. Like that title song is so good. And it just kicks in and it's like, all right, fuck, I can't wait for more. And so the score is fucking brilliant. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on the score, but it's so good.
Yeah, they did that thing where on. Oh, good.
I was going to say, yeah. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, let Greg go.
No, they did that thing where the title was really delayed in episode 2, so you're kind of settling in, and then the opening sequence happens with that music kicking in, and I was watching it really late at night, and it seems a little bit louder than the rest of the movie, at least as my wife was assuming that it was much louder. 'Cause she looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
But it's just nice driven synth music. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I love that Jimmy has his dog. We should get everyone's dog on air at the same time. That would be awesome. So yeah, no, the score is just it just works so well, perfectly in tandem. It's so good. So Jimmy, I think you're going to say something about the score.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to, I listened to the score before I saw the movie.
Yeah.
Before I really knew that it was like Turbo Killer 2.
Yep.
And I listened to I think the last track on the soundtrack, and I was like, this is just some weird slowed down version of Turbo Killer. And I watched the movie and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend the score to anyone. Like obviously
for sure.
It works. I think it works even better with the visuals, but even the score alone is great. I've listened to it a bunch of times in the last couple of weeks, and it's for lack of a better term, killer. It's really good. So
yeah.
So
I see what you did there.
And I guess what we'll do is we'll head to the verdict on this one, because I want to kind of wind down. I don't want to keep you guys for too much longer. I'm sure we could talk about this one for, I don't know, days, hours at least.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
All the different theories that everyone has.
Yeah.
And what actually was going on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure we could get into that for a while, but we'll spare everyone so that we're not talking all night, especially we have another film to discuss after. But so I guess what we'll do is we'll head to the verdict on this one, and then we'll come wrap things up. I'm stalling because I'm waiting for my music to load up because it unloaded. There we go. Okay, now
fine. I have to apologize for barking dog. There are like how many police cars outside?
About 5.
About 5.
Jesus.
Fire truck.
Oh, don't even worry about it, Jimmy. You can just have the dog bark on there. Raven Shouts does it all the time.
Yeah.
This would be a first for Trick or Treat Radio, a standoff.
Yeah. Is everything okay?
Yeah. Are you in danger?
Yeah, are you in danger? Actually, is everything okay, Jimmy?
I don't think so.
Jimmy robbed a 7-Eleven and then came home to do the podcast.
It's Florida Man Strikes Again, right?
Yeah. I really like the artistic value of this movie. You'll never take me alive, Papa.
You'd never know it. I mean, you've been a fucking trooper. Well, there's like
pretty scary looking out there. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, let's go. Was that Raven Shadow?
Move the camera over. Get a cop.
All right. Bear with me.
All right, let's go to the verdict on this one.
Trick or treat, baby. I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know what we thought of Blood Machines. I guess what we'll do is we'll start off with our guests. Let's get Greg's thoughts on this. Greg, was this a trick or a treat?
Definitely a treat. It was
awesome.
Enjoyable. It was, it was a fun 50 minutes or 40 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, it totally was.
Short and sweet.
Absolutely. All right, how about you, Jimmy?
Absolute visual carnival, as MZ said. Absolutely a treat.
All right, there you go. You got the Give Me 5 guys. Both dug it. Let's go to Raven Shadow.
Jimmy just fucking took the camera outside. I'm really concerned. I think
It's next door.
Yeah, like I don't know, the party out of control, or if it's a riot or what. But I'm really worried. I think it's like it's fucking.
It's Florida.
Like Gene 3. All right, fine.
Yeah.
There's burning crosses. This chick's naked. I don't know what's going on over there. But I'm concerned. I don't know what the fuck I watched, dog.
You talking to Jimmy's dog?
Yeah, did you just say dog?
I don't even know what I watched, dog.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
So many things. He's that fucking guy. I like him. I give that dog a metaphorically, I guess. I don't know what I watched. It was fucking like acid, fucking weirdness, sci-fi, mambo jambo. But yeah, right. It's not wrong.
Acid, sci-fi, Muhammad Jahamo. What?
Right.
That should go on the back of the DVD.
Yeah.
You'd fucking rent it if it was 80.
How do you spell that?
MAMHAMAMBAO.
BAO? I thought there was a J in there somewhere. Muhammad
It's
Jahambo.
silent. It's like Mjolnir. So a crazy cosmic madness fucking treat. Naked chicks crawl on top of each other.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't come up. Like no one mentioned how much nudity was in this.
It was a lot. Yeah.
It was up. It was up, Johnny.
What was the nudity or something else? What are we talking about?
Well, you know what. No, Jimmy knows. Okay?
Jimmy.
Jimmy fucking knows. Okay. It was exciting. And there's like weird like lotions they had. It was fucking weird. I don't know. I gotta watch it again.
Weird lotions?
Yeah, they were all liquid, right?
Yeah, you were the one with the lotions. I don't know.
We all have lotions down here. Down in the basement. Did they treat yet? Yeah, fucking. I don't know what happened. Treat.
Okay.
Who's next, Johnny?
All right, MZ.
Yeah, I think you got to be pretty positive. You got to have a pretty positive feeling about your film if you're going to have a score like that. That's a pretty, get ready to kick some ass score. Yeah, I dug that. That was awesome. There's a lot to take in this movie visually. Story-wise, like I said, I don't know. I think I might have to watch it again because I'm still not really too sure what I saw. All I know is that I liked it. And I know if I see it more often, it'll somehow make some sort of sense. Or maybe this is just the beginning and there'll be a series of this, of 50-minute films. Who knows? Regardless, I dug what I saw. There's a lot to like here. The visuals, the score was fantastic. I think the acting was a little under par. But that I think that's like a minor nitpick because they're obviously selling the story really on the visuals, and so that can kind of get a pass on in my eyes. Yeah. It's just one that this is a story that I feel needs to be watched more than just once. Just to take, if you want to take everything in, you got to see it more than once. There's no question about that. But you will enjoy it every time you see it. I know I did. I know I will. This was fun. This was entertaining. I liked it. This is a treat.
All right, Aries.
Yeah, in case anyone hasn't figured it out, I fucking love this movie. This movie definitely is a treat. There's just like so much about this movie. Just you can just sit and absorb it. It is just visually, audibly. It is just so much to take in with this movie. Yeah, so this is just a treat. Just fucking watch it.
Love it.
All right, and for me, definitely, this was a treat as well. It's a fucking visual feast. It's it's actually a feast for the senses. It's auditory and visual. I do really wish it were longer than 50 minutes, but this is just so perfectly blended with the visuals and the music, and it, even though we talked about the plot being a little scant, I think it is thought-provoking because it doesn't initially come to mind of like, okay, this is what it's about. It gives you an opportunity to kind of think about it. So I think it's a thought-provoking take on the sci-fi genre with many nods to the just 80s nostalgia, even though this doesn't have anything like specifically 80s about it in terms of like, like there's no cassette players. There's like Kung Fury or Turbo Kid were very rooted in the 80s. Well, this had more of an 80s aesthetic, I would say. So I cannot wait to see what Seth Eicherman do next. I really hope that no matter what it is, that Carpenter Brute is on board for the score, because these two entities combined do definitely make some amazing stuff. So this is on Shudder. It is in episodic format. I think this would be better if it were just a complete 50-minute film, because I think the credits really do take away at the end of each episode. But still, it is available on Shudder. If you guys don't have Shudder, I'd totally recommend it. This is probably worth it alone, just for 1 month alone, just checking this out. So even if you don't have Shudder, just think about getting it just for this alone. But it's glorious. It's if you guys have seen the Turbo Killer music video, this is a 50-minute extension of that, and it's even more gorgeous than Turbo Killer. So go check out Turbo Killer on YouTube. Like Jimmy said, I think 9.2 million views at this point or something.
Yep.
So if you're not familiar, that'll give you a good example of what it's all about. And this is just under an hour of that style, plus like they did even more with this. This is even more visually outstanding than Turbo Killer. So yeah, this is a huge treat all around. So obviously everyone loved it. Everyone gave it a treat. So there you go. So, all right, before we say goodbye to you guys, and before Jimmy goes and gets in some sort of
Find out what the hell
find out what's going on over there. You guys have any final thoughts, whether it's about Blood Machines or about anything else? And also, I just want to give you guys an opportunity to once again plug your podcast so people know where to find it.
Jimmy, go ahead before you go down on a blaze of glory.
Go down in a hail of bullets.
I'm gonna go down there right now and check it out, guys. Thank you so much for having us on. Certainly, the Give Me 5 podcast would not be a thing without Trick or Treat Radio, and that's the God's honest truth. So
that is true.
Thank you guys so much, and it's really cool to be here with you handsome gentlemen. And thanks for talking some crazy cosmic sci-fi mamma jambo.
Well, Jimmy, thanks, man, and definitely go see what's going on and stay safe. Please don't get shot by Florida man.
They're in my backyard. I gotta go.
All right,
office, stay down, dude. Don't
yeah.
go outside.
All right, take care, Jimmy. Greg,
see you guys. Thanks.
Any final thoughts, or if you go ahead, you can plug the show, plug anything else you got.
No, I was so happy that someone mentioned Liquid Television, because when I was in high school, I loved Liquid Television. Everyone in my family was very, I don't really want to use the term normie, but everyone in my family was I was the artist in the family. My dad was an accountant, But so like when you see something like Liquid Television and it's very artsy things, people are like, well, why would someone make something like that? You're not going to make money doing it. But like at that point, you really never saw short videos made for anything other than to make money.
Right.
Back in the 80s. So seeing that, and then of course the internet taking over, and now you can do something that's a 50-minute crazy music video that harkens back to the 80s aesthetically, and actually have that be a job for a little while, and actually have it be art and make money from it. It just makes me happy that there's that, and just the mention of Liquid Television is like, oh crap, yeah.
That was very hugely influential to, just I guess maybe to all of us in a sense, but to a lot of creators out there as well.
Like Eon Flux and all those things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, the Maxwell was a comic, but that was on the show, and just the visuals. It was those crazy things where you'd be on it late at night and be like, oh, I get it, even if I don't get it. This is kind of for me, even if I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and yeah, it was important.
So, yeah, that was really about it. And again, thank you. Just like Jimmy said, you know, we had hemmed and hawed about making our own podcast for, you know, a while. I worked with Jimmy for 8 years or something up to that point. We actually work on a very big Halloween haunted house / show every year. And the place where we work, not to get into that too much, but I mean, the people that came out of that school, the guy that wrote Saw 2 and directed Saw 2, and some of the people that did You're Next, and some of the major horror directors went to the school.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get to work on this haunted house for students that are going to do that kind of stuff, we would be sitting there and talk about all these random movies that we hadn't seen. And then, of course, Trick or Treat Radio became kind of part of it. And we're like, you know, there is an audience for this kind of stuff. And we, you know, as a result, we made our own podcast talking about all of that stuff that maybe flew under the radar.
Yeah, and I like the format that you guys have. It's kind of a cool little gimmick, and we appreciate that. I mean, it's you know, it's always kind of this weird thing because we were friends with some other podcasts like you know, Outside the Cinema and you know and Talk Without Rhythm and some others that had been doing it longer than us, and we probably wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for some of the, you know, just kind of seeing them do it first. But it's always weird to think that we may have been like even slightly influential on others. So it kind of blows my mind, but it's also cool to hear as well. So I appreciate you know, you guys obviously do have a good show and you have a good rapport. You had that anyway. So it just was, you know, the difference of putting mics in front of you and then putting it out there for people to hear. So yeah, I mean, you guys have the chemistry as it is.
And I'd also be very remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Derek Rook, who's been on your show many times.
Yeah.
And who is a longtime friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who actually introduced me to the show and to you guys, from Rough House Publishing, of course, out there. Go buy Rough House books.
Yeah.
All of them.
Absolutely. And that's when I was telling these guys, because I was like, yeah, they you know, I knew that you were a longtime friend of Derek, so that's sort of the connection as to how we know you guys. And but yeah, so all props to Derek Rook and to Rough House Publishing. We've gotten a lot of great friends through Derek. So yeah, we appreciate that, and it was awesome having you on, Greg. It's great to catch up.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we'll have to do it again in the future because it seems like probably
anytime.
The only time we can catch up with you guys is having you on the show because everyone's so busy.
Yeah, right.
And, yeah, even though we're in quarantine, everyone's still keeping busy. So
yeah.
Well,
thank
right.
you, and I'll hang up and listen now.
All right, Greg. Sounds good. Thanks again, man. We appreciate you coming on and lending some of your expertise. And everyone go check out the Gimme 5 podcast and support these guys. Thanks, Greg. Take care, man.
Take care.
See you, buddy.
All right, cool. So big thanks to the Gimme 5 podcast guys. And we appreciate them coming on and giving us their expertise and lending their ear. So do you guys want to take a quick break or do you just want to go right into the flick?
Quick break.
Raven Shadow.
Oh,
I could have.
The smoker is spoken.
Other verb. Okay, that was exciting. I like those guys. I'm really concerned about Jimmy. I hope he can look. If you're listening.
Oh, I just started playing the break. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right,
Fuck.
let's go to break.
The halls of Valhalla have been shuttered. The heroes of yore have either retreated to the shadows or taken to capering for the amusement of the small folk. Their past glories a distant memory. The barbells have been torn from their once puma-strong grips. The beards shorn from their square jaws, only to be transplanted onto flannel-clad, puny weaklings with fingers barely powerful enough to strum a ukulele. The time has come, my brothers, to restore order from the chaos. No longer will our heroes be forgotten. No longer will their great deeds be viewed through a foggy lens of irony. Hear now our rallying cry as we scream it from the mountaintops, as we bellow it from iTunes and Libsyn and Facebook. It's time to join the cult, my brothers. So don your cloaks and enter the cult of
muscle.
I'm Alex West.
And I'm Andrea Subasati, and we're from the Faculty of Horror podcast.
And you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
And we are back on Trick or Treat Radio. Oh, you got a little guest there, MZ, huh? Is that S'mores?
Yep.
What's up, S'mores? Is she gonna talk?
Yeah, she talks every now and again.
I lost Raven Show's cam on the live feed. Not that he would even know, because I don't think he's even there.
Yeah, right.
Let me see if I can get him back. So that was cool, huh?
Yes, it was.
Good talking to those guys. So
yeah,
good to catch up with those dudes, and we appreciate them. Everyone, go check out the Give Me 5 podcast, and we appreciate Jimmy and Greg's contributions, and I hope Jimmy is okay. Oh man. That's funny. Actually, it's not that funny, but all right. So we got another movie to talk about. So I want to kind of go right into this because I don't want us to go too late because we do have some voicemail to get to. So I think we'll do a little bit of a abbreviated discussion about Blood Quantum. But that's the film we're going to be talking about now. It is written and directed by Jeff Barnaby, and it stars Michael Greyeyes, Mahia Tailfeathers, Forrest Goodluck, Kiowa Gordon, Olivia Scriven, Stonehorse Lone Goman, and Brandon Oakes. Synopsis: the dead are coming back to life outside the isolated Micmac Reserve of Red Crow, except for its indigenous inhabitants who are strangely immune to the zombie plague. So this is another Shudder exclusive, so it's available on there if you guys, if you're getting Blood Machines and you're looking for something else, maybe you'll want to check out Blood Quantum, but maybe you want to listen to our review first. This 96-minute film is a horror zombie movie, and so the director, it was written, directed, edited, and scored by Jeff Barnaby, so he was kind of a little bit of a jack of all trades, had a lot to do here. He previously directed a film called Rhymes for Young Ghouls, which was kind of on our radar. We didn't end up reviewing it, but it looked like it was kind of an interesting film. So he got some pretty good praise from that, and this is his follow-up feature. And so Jeff Barnaby is a Micmac from the Micmac tribe, and he's a director who ended up growing up on the reservation in Quebec, Canada. So for him, I imagine this was hugely personal for him to do this kind of film. So I do think before we jump into it, I think it's good. I think it's really good to see a film with such strong Native American representation, because that's not something we see very often, especially in horror movies.
Yeah, they usually relegate it to either being a secondary character or just some sort of a stereotype.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. And so a lot of times you're right. Like think of like Creepshow or Poltergeist.
Poltergeist 2.
Yeah, yeah. So, it definitely is something it's good to see that, obviously he directed it and he's trying to do it on the reservation of a Micmac tribe. So obviously it's a little, he needs to cast the right people. So that all makes sense, but it is cool to see. This is definitely kind of a different take. Whether or not we liked it, I mean, we'll sort of talk about that as we move on here. But it is good that this exists, I think. So, and the film also takes place in 1981, which my first thought when I saw that was, okay, so this is 3 years after Dawn of the Dead. I was wondering if that was relevant. Why? Like, it seems weird to place it in 1981. Did you have any thoughts about that, MZ? I know, obviously, you're a big fan of Romero's stuff.
Yeah, there is a definite Romero style involved in this film. I think it just had to do with some of the other films that we reviewed that takes place in a certain time period, for no other reason other than the fact that it lacks the technology that we have today, and I think that just amplifies the intensity and the need to rescue people, get things done, that sort of thing. There's no urgency involved. There's a sense of urgency involved, is what I'm saying, without the technology. So I figure it has something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean,
or at least a part of it.
And I think that they were definitely sort of leaning on George a little bit in terms of his, once again, we talk about cinematic shorthand. So I think that they definitely were leaning a little bit on George's cinematic shorthand with this. So you understand what kind of zombies they are. By the way, Raven Shadow, I lost your camera on the live feed, so I'm going to remove you from the call and just add you again real quick. So just so you know, you're going to cut out for a sec, and then I'll add you right back in. So, okay, while I'm adding him back, Aries, I guess, did you get a Romero feel to this? Was there something about this that came to mind for you?
Nothing overly beyond the just general zombie. Every zombie movie tends to have a Romero, fingerprint involved. So nothing beyond the norm.
Yeah. Okay. And I would agree.
I mean, outside of the fact that the zombies run, because of course zombies don't run in Romero films.
True.
It's heavily in. I think, the Romero fingerprint, as Aries puts it, it's definitely there. But then again, every zombie film is influenced by Romero in one form or another. Whether some directors want to admit it or not,
Yeah. So, all right, I got you back, Raven Shadow, by the way. So just had to.
Sorry, is my mic on?
What the fuck, bro?
But there's another directorial style that's in this movie, very obvious. You want to talk about that now?
Yeah, go for it. Who's up?
Okay. There's also a big Quentin Tarantino vibe involved in this film as well.
Really?
Especially with a couple of especially with a couple of shots. Let me see. Well, you got one character in the film named Zed, and we're referring to.
It was also in Canada. That's where that comes from.
What do you mean?
Have you never heard the phrase Zed? That's how they say Z in Canada. Zed.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yep.
Okay, but also the shots of the trunk opening and closing. Almost like a point of view shot of whatever's in the trunk, and the trunk is opening and closing. That's also Tarantino's early style.
Okay.
Yeah, but he stole that from Repo Man.
True.
Okay. I've seen Repo Man. I've seen Repo Man only once, so I can't I really don't have that much of a memory on it.
Oh, well, watch it again.
Yeah, you gotta check that out, man.
That's a good movie.
That was almost.
It's been a while. I remember liking it, but okay.
But they did make the comment, Zed's dead. You know, I don't know who was named Z, but
Yeah, and also I've also heard it in zombie movies where they call them Zeds instead of zombies. So yeah, so if you guys look like I've just looked it up, Zed. That's how they pronounce the letter Z in Canada is Zed. It's not Z, it's Zed.
That's pretty messed up.
So our Canadian brothers and sisters.
Yeah, what the hell?
You just fucked up MZ.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they say what? WXYZ?
Yes.
Oh, you don't even want to know how they say X. That just blow your mind.
Honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea.
So this right off the bat in the first 5 minutes, it's a little rough because you get a lot of animal violence going on here. Obviously, the fish isn't as big of a deal because I don't know, you've seen it a million times in films. But the thing I thought was interesting about this was zombie fish. Has anyone ever seen that?
No,
I don't recall that.
So I thought that was kind of I thought that was an interesting way of introducing it. Yeah, Raven Shadow, go ahead.
What was it just in the Dawn of the Dead remake at the end? Was it just body parts in the cooler? It wasn't fish, right? It was human body parts, right?
You're asking the wrong person on that one. MZ or Aries will have to answer.
You saw it. You liked it. You liked it despite yourself.
I said I liked it more than I anticipated, but I didn't love it. But I saw it in like what 2004, 5, so it's been like 15 years since I saw it.
Fair. I mean, I think it came out a little bit later, but no, there was a scene where they're on a boat and there's a cooler and they have like a video camera. But I think it might have been.
Oh, that yeah. At the end of the film.
Yeah.
The head. There was a head inside of like a bucket or.
But see, I found that interesting because that's something in zombie, and I mean, I feel I've seen a lot of zombie flicks. I've not seen all the zombie flicks, but like even like in Busan, Train to Busan, the zombie moose or whatever the fuck, you know, it always kind of. I mean, in the Dawn of the Dead remake, I as a dog lover, I was glad the dog wasn't eaten by the zombies. And they did the whole thing where it's below them. But let's be honest, like you would eat whatever you would eat, right? In that stuff. So, of course, animals should be able to get infected.
Yeah,
that would make more sense.
Yeah.
Well, getting infected and getting eaten are two different things.
Yeah.
They take a bite of something, but no, I thought the zombie fish, and once again, it was a fisherman who used the animal. You know what I mean? Who ate it? But that was flapping was weird.
the flapping looks weird.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
A lot of fish flapping.
Fish flapping.
So we had the fish flapping, and then we also had the zombie dog shortly after.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough. The dog was sick though, and the sheriff, came up and had to put the animal down. But it wasn't gratuitous. It had to happen. But then you slowly knew, okay, well, when that trunk was bumping, you knew what was inside of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But really,
go ahead, MZ.
No, just saying, we're putting way too much talk into one small scene.
Well,
is this your first time on our podcast?
Yeah,
it must be.
Have you ever listened to the show before?
I know, right?
First time Mike says some of the drooling zombie scenes reminded me of demons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that, MZ?
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, I'd go along with that.
FTM also says, I always enjoy scratch-made post-zombie rise weapons. So, like, like the weapons that they made, I thought were also... I did enjoy some of the weapons. The one that Lysol had, I thought like... So, okay, let's hold on, because we're I want to jump ahead, but I want to...
Dial it back.
Yeah, dial it back. So, we have basically... Let me get up the characters' names here. So I was looking for something on Blood Machines, and I navigated away. Let me get the character names here, because that'll help here. But anyways, I think it was Joseph was the son. You guys remember? No. Okay.
Joseph was the younger son who had the complete Indian descent.
Yes.
Lars was the half son, and there was Native American Rick Grimes.
Mike, you talking about Trailer, the one with the ponytails, the braids?
Yeah, like he was like Spirit from G.I. Joe meets Rick Grimes. And to be fair, that's a great fucking amalgamation.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a compliment, yeah.
And his awesome dad, who was like the Native American samurai.
Oh, that dude was fucking awesome. He was like one of my favorite parts.
He was the best.
Yeah.
He was the best thing in that movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I did like the relationship between the generations, which I think is probably... I'm sure that's not lost on a lot of people. Kind of showing the generations of the family. We had the grandfather, the father, and the son, basically. And in this, the father is going to basically get his son out of jail because he got on a bridge and shit on somebody's car. That scene was pretty awesome, I gotta admit. So he bails him out, and then one of the prisoners that's in the prison cell is kind of just vomiting everywhere and blood, and so he ends up being a zombie, as we find out, and he starts attacking. So this is kind of like the beginning of the outbreak that we see. And then let's see, trying to think out so we basically set the scene. The first act is them kind of setting the scene of when the breakout happened. Yeah, go ahead, Raven Shadow.
It was once again after the flapping, the dog thing, when
the flapping.
Right, when Native Rick Grimes goes to see his dad and he deputizes him, I fucking marked out hard, and that was early on.
Yeah.
Because obviously something's going on. They're getting, why is this fucking, he's getting the voiceover from the girl at dispatch. Like, I just loved some of that stuff, and obviously this shit happening, and he shows up and deputizes his dad. Hey, you deputy, fucking come with me, asshole. And you get a sense that the dad's been through some shit. The grandfather.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Shit. And it goes back to what you just said about the generational aspect of it. On the small, I don't know if it was a reservation, but I saw it more like Copland, whereas like this is a more like native town on the outskirts of a more white population.
Well, it was a reservation that existed out just on the outskirts of a town that they got very much disrespected from the white people.
Right, and even like Native Rick Grimes was getting his balls busted by the douchebag, cop, and his son was brought in. Obviously, his son has a pattern of negative behavior. It seems like, and he's using his dad as a get out of jail free card, for real.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then we find out that Joseph has a girlfriend who is pregnant, and he during the melee in the prison, he gets bit, so he's going to basically get a tetanus shot, I guess. And while he's there, he talks to his girlfriend asked her if she's going to get the abortion, right? Is that sort of what she's about to get an abortion?
And so his white girlfriend. It's
Yeah,
81.
His white girlfriend, yeah. And so then the outbreak, like it starts, it's in the hospital and people, and so obviously the abortion doesn't happen. And I think after that, I think I've hit most of the. Oh, and the dad has to go to another call, like another police call where someone is getting eaten, and when he goes there, the woman is eating a baby, which I thought was pretty hardcore.
Fuck. I mean, you almost got a yo text a couple times in this.
Yo text.
You did, and just one more, taking it back to that hospital scene when Joseph is talking to his girlfriend. He's like, "Are you ashamed of me?" And they're just holding. Do we really want to do this?
Yeah.
And they hold hands. And that do we really want to do this line really resonated for me.
Yeah.
Because that account for a lot of things, whether it's a pregnancy or whatever. But you just had that moment, and then holy hell's about to kind of break loose.
Yep. And something else I was going to mention about that. Sort of that scene there. I don't think the acting was terrible, but there was a couple of the scenes with Joseph and Charlie where it just seemed like they just didn't have good chemistry. I don't know. Like the acting I thought was decent to okay. There's no standout performances. I did think the dad and the grandfather were really good. Were pretty good.
Yeah.
But there was just I think the acting was kind of uneven a little bit in this.
Joseph, I liked the character, but he had some stutter steps. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
And you could go one step further. If that was the point. But he seemed even kind of awkward in terms of even some of the action sequences and some of the dialogue too. Like he seemed kind of not fully invested.
Yeah.
It's not but there were moments that took me, it seemed kind of less cinematic.
What were you gonna say, Aries?
I know I agree that the acting in this is not up to par to most movies. I think the father and the grandfather stand out because they really weren't acting. I think they are just legitimate badasses.
Yeah,
like they just were playing themselves in this movie, and I think that's why they stand out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So we did get some. I think in the early portion here, there's some decent gore. There's a couple of head bashing scenes, which I thought was pretty well done. And then we get this weird sort of time jump. We go 6 months forward after the initial outbreak, which to me was a little jarring. Like it didn't take me out of it. It didn't bug me too much, but I don't know. It was a little jarring after a third of the movie. If it had been like a short intro and then we jumped ahead, I think that wouldn't have been as jarring. But I don't know. It just seemed like after the first act, it was just seemed weird. Any of you guys agree or disagree?
I think they just wanted to establish the characters before they do the time jump. It's weird. It didn't bother me as much as it seemed to have bothered you. I don't know why, because it kind of encompassed everything all in one small little time frame. The probable start of the zombie apocalypse. Then, while we don't see what happens for 6 months after that, what we do see after that is basically an apocalypse of sorts. Things have been run down. The population has obviously dwindled, and people are making up makeshift camps to try and survive. I don't know why, but for some reason I enjoyed that part of it. It didn't take me out of it at all. I never really gave it much thought that it would be an issue. It just didn't bother me.
I think they did it because there was a lot of setup that needed to happen to get to the end of this movie, where they needed to establish all the characters and establish the suppression that the white people were having on the American Indians throughout their lives to set up what was happening at the third act of this movie.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right there. I think I didn't have a problem with it per se. It just was like, oh, all of a sudden we're jumping ahead. Okay, you know.
It was a little. It took a second to adjust to that. That was a big jump, but I also think that was a deliberate time. Like 6 months was deliberately chosen for the pregnancy aspect of it.
Exactly, because when they established that this girl was pregnant before that time jump, you knew there had to have been a time jump coming at some point, because otherwise,
fair,
her being 2-3 months pregnant would be irrelevant at this point. So the 6-month time jump gives the supposed payoff, possible payoff is what I'm trying to say, to her pregnancy.
See, I didn't see a time jump coming at all. I thought for me, I was like, oh, Snoop, because the line of, when you hear in the dispatch, oh yeah, don't let them bite you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because that first act really escalated quickly. You know what I mean? Like there was shit like, okay, well this is character, these are the main characters, and stuff is kind of going down. And whether you want to call it cinematic shorthand or whatnot. And I think the problem with a lot of modern horror movies, once again, big ups to George. You know what I'm saying? Right? Fucking, I love you, George. Okay. But a lot of
who you are.
He's unfortunately not with us any longer, Raven Shadow.
Yeah.
There's a connection there. Okay. But still, and I think this is what some of this does come across like this could have been a Walking Dead spinoff in terms of an outbreak on Indian reservation. I know this, whatever camp you're on, the zombie camp or the Zed camp, this did come off like had some Walking Dead parallels to it.
You know what's funny is the dad actually was in Fear the Walking Dead.
I'm sure he was. Yeah, it reminded me. Right? You could see, and that's not a dig or a whatever to any of the art forms, but I think it did jump forward. I was very surprised to see when we see a certain character later on, like, oh, this character's still alive. No.
Yeah. Now, see, I hadn't read the description, so the immunity caught me off guard. So these characters getting bitten, and then a 6-month jump, and these characters are still there. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah,
that took me back because a character getting bitten. Okay, you're dead in 20 minutes. Like that. I just thought that this was just going to follow a normal time frame.
And I'll agree with that. Like I wouldn't have known if I hadn't read the synopsis either. So that's one of the interesting things that I wish they had focused a little bit more on, especially in that first act. Of hey, we seem to be immune to this.
Yeah, well, because they didn't even make it abundantly clear that the American Indians were the ones that are immune. Like, they just kind of mentioned that people were immune. They didn't specify that it was the race. Like, I was into the third act before it, like, clicked that it was all of them. Like, white folks could get infected, but the American Indians couldn't.
Well, and to be fair, I know it takes place in Canada, so I was calling them Native Americans. You were calling American Indians.
Yeah. So, whatever PC term you want to use.
So
Native Canadians.
We're
Native Canadians. Micmacs.
Micmac, yeah.
Micmacs is the tribe, so we can go with that.
Micmacs.
Rachel, were you going to say something?
But even down when there was the person who went, oh, we heard you guys have a cure. Yeah, no, it's the wrong. And if you had the right bloodline, you had a cure.
Yeah.
See, they didn't even explore that. Like, that was just a passing line. Like, when they said that, I thought there was a cure. Like, they didn't go into depth with that.
But the mythology of that, what that line created to me was a more mythology. Like, oh, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, And had this been a TV show, I think they could have explored that further.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they could have delved a little bit deeper into a lot of things. First time Mike says the time shift had one purpose: to move the story to the time it needed to be in. Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah, true.
And I didn't have a problem with the time jump. It was just the initial shock of like, whoa, okay, now we're moving ahead. It's not that it's unheard of, but you typically, I mean, a lot of times you don't see that happen after the first act where it does a time jump like that. But that's the choice they made, and it made sense, especially as we get towards the the culmination of the film, and especially with Charlie, was that the girl's name in this? Yeah,
yes.
Especially with her, her being pregnant as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously makes sense, especially for what happens towards the end here. One of the things I thought was really interesting in this was the zombie grinder that they had on the bridge. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah.
No bullets.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah. That's a great way to keep people from crossing over. Like, it basically was like, I don't know, what would you call that? It's kind of the thing you load logs into if you're mulching wood chipper. Yeah.
Oh, that was actually a snowblower.
Oh, it was a snowblower.
Right?
Okay.
Oh, what's it?
Yes.
Oh,
that is up in Canada when they get 3 feet of snow. You need an oversized snowblower.
Well, there was zombie
You would
guts.
know.
Zombie guts getting sprayed all over the place from that thing. It was actually like a really cool visual. Like, I don't think I've seen anything like that, because how would the fucking zombies know, right? They're just gonna walk right into it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I love the way they introduced it. The fact that like he found a way around the bullets, and
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So I thought that was like,
And I also
really stand out. Go ahead, Z.
I also like how they incorporate some Native American lore or Native Canadian lore into this, or Micmac lore into the storyline. Not so much a storyline, but just in
narrative,
in life, actually, where there's a scene where they take down a zombie, where the group takes down a zombie, and they basically gut him. Okay.
Yeah.
And then as they're driving off, you could see the steam coming out from the wound, because this takes place during the cold winter months, and of course, all Native American Micmacs, whatever. They always claim that if you see steam rising from their wound, that means it's their soul going to heaven. So I kind of like how they incorporated that, maybe just on one character, but I noticed it. So I thought that was kind of neat that they added that in there, because you don't really see that in any other film that takes place in cold winter months, where the person dies and you see steam rising from their wounds. But here they did it, and it's a nice little touch.
Yeah, I think so too. One of the things I'm going to pull it up here because I want to, bears mentioning, I think, but it's the I know we're moving ahead in the movie, but it's the opening, sort of not a scroll, but the sort of like little intro that they have. I thought that was interesting because it's
I paused it.
Yeah. So it says, "Take heed to thyself that thou make no treaty with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be 'cause of ruin among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn down their groves." And then the way they did it was it fades out, and then it shows a different take. It like kind of fades into a different sort of like version of it, and it says, "Take heed to thyself that thou make no treaty with the inhabitants of the land, for when they whore themselves to their demons and sacrifice to them, you will eat their sacrifices, and when you choose some of their daughters for your sons, they will lead your sons to do the same." And it was an ancient settler proverb. So it's sort of like, the idea for me was like this sort of like whitewashing of whatever, like basically they took like this proverb or like maybe like a Micmac and kind of distorted it into something that it wasn't,
Oh, it scared the shit out of me.
It scared the shit out of me.
No, it was like fucking A. People suck. Like this, humans fucking suck, right? I mean, there's moments, like fucking Farm Aid was good. We Are the World was good. You know what I mean? There's some, you could do a montage of, wow, humans maybe are pretty fucking okay, and put like a fucking song behind it and play the Superman theme. But overall, people fucking suck. You know what I mean? Everyone comes to fucking conquer. You know what I mean? Assholes.
I'm on board. I'm on board with you.
Talking about it.
It's almost like we should have a fucking plague to wipe us. Oh shit.
I'm on board with you, man. I agree.
White people. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we sort of move a little bit further in here, so then we have. I thought Lysol in the post-apocalyptic future when we jump ahead 6 months. I love that sort of like get up with the mask and the bladed weapon that he had.
I was like just like fucking Crossbones meet Mads Max. I fucking loved him.
Yeah, it was pretty badass when you see him, and I was almost like hoping they all sort of had that get up. I thought that would have been cool to like put them all in it to kind of protect themselves, But unfortunately, it was just Lysol. But still, I thought it was a really interesting look. And there was the right-hand man. I don't remember his name, but the character with that huge fucking axe. I thought that axe was fucking awesome too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he was dope.
Yeah, I don't have his. I think he was Bumper. Was that him? I think
he was Bumper.
Yes.
Bumper was in the wood, and they go get him.
Yeah.
No, it was Bumper, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Bumper.
Because native Canadian Rick sent his grandpa to get him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was the native who drove the snowblower, who was a big character actor. You've seen him in other stuff.
That was Ares.
Driving
the snowblower.
And then the dude who survived the chick eating the baby was part of the team. So I liked the team they formed.
Yeah, no, it was yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it too. And it was, I mean, I understand why Lysol, I mean, I'm not going to say too much about it, but I like some of the decisions he made, it kind of made sense, but it also seemed like it came a little bit out of nowhere. Well, all right, not out of nowhere. I shouldn't say that because something drastic happens to him.
It was inconsistent, and I thought Lysol died 5 times in this film.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing that was sort of the impetus for him to like go on his, to make up his decision was obviously horrible. What happened? But it seemed like why did it wait for that? Like that's the thing. That was the catalyst for what he decided to do. I don't know.
He was already like on that path.
He was, yeah.
Like he was. I mean, he was that way to move the movie forward.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line with him. He kind of was just a stereotypical character.
Yeah. I guess I wish there was maybe a little bit more that they did with him and sort of some of the decisions he made. I wish they were more, I don't know, just more telegraphed or made more sense at the time that he made them. That's all. I mean, I liked his character, and I think he had a pretty good portrayal, and I think he looked badass. So, but once again, like it almost, and I actually forget, but he wasn't full native, right?
He was half. His dad was.
That's right.
I think he was like Spanish or.
No, he was half. Because his dad was the dad. Was the dad in the movie trailer.
Trailer.
But we didn't meet his mom because his mom had passed, and he was sort of like held some resentment towards Joseph, right?
Well, the line was like, at least you have a mom.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly. So I mean, there is that, but there was
he was mixed.
So he was mixed. So okay, I guess in a sense that makes sense in terms of like, once again, kind of. I don't think this movie was preaching this message necessarily, but but kind of white man ruins everything. Like even having a little bit.
Gave it away history.
Yeah, exactly. Years and years and years of history. So, I mean, I wonder if that was kind of the message there, and maybe it didn't matter that it wasn't telegraphed, because that's sort of like what they're trying to say with this,
But I think it creates a great mythology, though, too. I mean, it's so great to have your bloodline be special,
yeah,
or persecuted, right? It's the reason why the X-Men, and I didn't say this, it was the dude that wrote, fucking the novelist Cavalier and Clay, to be at one point, uniquely special yet persecuted is a powerful metaphor. And if they took that Native American background and made it something, oh well, you're fucking this in the eyes of the world.
Yeah.
But when the world changes, you kind of have a power.
Yeah. It's I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it. And you're right, because they were the ones all of a sudden who
Running shit.
Yeah, we're in essence running shit. Or maybe if you're looking from the other side of things, maybe the white people were still fucking ruining shit just like they were before in a different way,
Right.
So yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective, an interesting point to bring up. But because I mean there is sort of, and I think that's one of the things when you talk about George Romero, even though it was unintentional in Night of the Living Dead, he didn't necessarily mean for that to be like to be a film that tackled potentially tackled racism as like a social issue, because as he said famously, MZ, that he that Dwayne Jones got the part because he was the best person for the role, and it was originally supposed to be a white guy, right?
It was written in as for a white guy, but they never, when they hired Dwayne, they didn't change one letter on that script.
Yeah.
To make it fit his, him playing that character. It was always meant to, it was just, they just figured that some, a white actor was going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't for a white guy. Just most white guys got roles back then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, since Dwayne was the best guy to read for the part, he got the role. But they never altered the script, not one bit, as a result of that.
So it's interesting. It's because it is just basically happenstance that the film ended up being, or at least being perceived as having a message about racism. So it's just really interesting how that worked out. It's just the perfect confluence of events that made it that way. But it wasn't really intended that way initially. So it's just interesting how that worked out. But I think George almost sort of took that and ran with that in Dawn of the Dead in '78, and definitely it was a take on sort of commerce and the rise of the mall in America, and a lot of different things there. There's definitely some social commentary in there, and I think zombie movies are really well suited to kind of do that. And I think that they were bold in this film in doing what they did and making this, a sort of like a native zombie movie and making them the stars of it. I think that is kind of a cool thing and it's something that I'd never seen before in terms of a zombie film.
Yeah, but does it equal out to be a good film? That's the ultimate question here. I mean, honestly, there's really very little to separate from the other 50,000 zombie films out there. I mean, outside of the casting, which I liked, there's really nothing new here. And to be perfectly honest with I felt like quite bored with. I mean, you got yourself a movie filled with running zombies, not just lumbering, but running zombies, and there's very little action involved. There's a lot of talking, but not a lot of action, and that's very disappointing. Because if you got running zombies and you got people running around with really cool kick-ass weapons, you got to make it a little better than this, a little bit more exciting than this. I was kind of disappointed in how the quote-unquote action kind of spilled itself out all over the film, because there really wasn't any.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get into that because we're about to hit the verdict here, because I want to try to start wrapping this up. But did any of you guys have anything else before we head to the verdict you want that hasn't been brought up yet?
No, we can go there.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's head to the verdict on this baby.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time, and now we're gonna let you know whether this flick was a trick or a treat. Let's go to Raven Shadow. Let's start with you, my friend.
The last thing I wanted to do was watch another fucking zombie movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still trying to get through fucking Walking Dead season, whatever the fuck. I still got the trades I got to finish, but the current apocalypse doesn't really make me want to get into it. But I got to disagree with what MZ said, man. I was pleasantly surprised. Does it reinvent the wheel? No, maybe not. But I think it adds a different, just enough of a different take. Whether we go back to the battery or the fucking tire one that you got so upset about, or what we do in the shadows, it had enough differences. I like the fact that there was a anti-zombie gene, an anti-zombie factor.
Oh boy.
And I just like that. I like the setting, and I was pleasantly surprised by this. So the gore was good. I like the cast. I think it's okay to watch the same genre or story, whether it's capes and tights, zombies, or even slashers. You put a slightly different spin on it, and it still can be fresh, because I think we all still covered that. You know what I mean? Like, I've been reading superhero comics since I was fucking 7. But just give me a little bit of a slight spin, and I'm on board. So I did enjoy this quite a bit. Didn't want to watch it, but I liked it. And I'm gonna give us a treat, dog.
All right. One thing I wanted to mention to MZ, I just saw this pop up. It looks like Joe Bob might be doing Cannibal Holocaust tomorrow night.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay. There you go.
He is. That's going to be the second film. I don't know what the first film is yet.
Okay, cool. I thought you'd enjoy that. One of your favorite films. Yep. All right, so let's keep rolling on, and let's hear from Aries.
I'm going to agree with Raven Shadow here. This movie definitely. I mean,
2 timestamps this episode.
2 timestamps of twist.
Episode here. I mean, the zombie genre has been played out. Like, you tell me we're a zombie movie, and the life has been sucked out of me. You know what? I don't want another zombie movie. But you know what? You tell me I got to watch it. I'm going to watch it. This movie definitely had enough uniqueness to make it interesting. It was more story-driven, more human-driven than the zombies. And you know what? That's what you need in a zombie movie nowadays to make it interesting, because there's nothing more in the actual zombie. Like, it's a zombie. There's only so much you can do, so you need to have the human aspect to drive the zombie movie, and there was enough there to make this interesting. The acting was a little lackluster, but it's forgivable because the characters, a lot of them, the father and grandfather in particular, I feel they were outstanding because they were just playing themselves, and some of the other characters were just decent enough to make this movie acceptable. And the immunity of it was enough of a difference to make it that much more interesting. So this movie definitely is a treat. Check it out.
All right, let's go to Raven Shadow. Oh, I mean, sorry, MZ.
We're gonna pull that shit again.
Go ahead,
Mamba
MZ.
Leo.
Yeah, I think I agree with what these two have just said. You know, the zombie genre has played itself out to the nth degree. I mean, when we reviewed One Cut of the Dead, we saw a new way in presenting the zombie film to us, and it was fantastic. Even though even though the film does suffer from the time that it came out, because, like I said, everyone has seen zombie films everywhere is zombie films, but that was a new spin on it. Here, there is no new spin on it. There is very little that's new here to enjoy. I do agree also with the acting. I think the acting felt a little disconnected. It just didn't feel natural to me. Some of the dialogue just felt very one-linery, I guess is the term I'm looking for. I don't know if that would make any sense or not. There is plenty of gore here to enjoy. There's no doubt about that. Any halfway decent zombie film will have a lot of gore in it, and this one does, and I like that. That's good. But again, the story is just hampered with problems. There's just no action in this film. I just didn't see anything interesting about this film at all. And like I said, I was bored with it. It looked nice. You know, there was some decent weaponry going on here, which should make it interesting. But somehow they're able to suck all the life out of these weapons and just throw it away. I don't know how they were able to do it. I wanted to like this. I really did. And I thought I would, but I can't. I can't like this. This is just not a good movie. I mean, if you were to list the top, say, 400 zombie films, this would not make it.
Wow.
Hey, look, there's like over 3,000 zombie films out there. Okay, so no, I can't like this. I tried. I really tried. It's got a decent score. That might be the only thing that's good about it. The dad is really awesome with the samurai.
The granddad.
With the samurai sword. Yeah, the granddad, yeah. Other than that, man, this just went by the numbers. It didn't play it safe, but it just went by the numbers. This is a trick. I can't approve.
All right. Just for you guys there, my iPad's about to die, so I'm going to switch you over to a different device. So I'm going to lose you guys for a second, but I'll get you right back. So, all right. So, for me, I'm going to say that this was I guess it was a tepid treat for me. Here, let me get these guys in here. Okay, you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Get you guys back. All right. So, yeah, for me, I did generally like the premise, and I liked a lot of the stylistic, artistic choices. I thought there was some good choices. This is definitely, it sets itself apart from your run-of-the-mill. I wouldn't say I think visually it sets it apart a little bit. But they didn't explain enough about the rules of this world, and that's one thing that always kind of bugs me, especially because I thought they had such a cool concept here that could have set it apart, but they didn't really tell you much about it. And maybe they just assume that the viewers are just gonna get it and just understand that. But I think that was sort of a bit of a missed opportunity to kind of explain things a little bit better. So, but I don't know. It's just not enough. I'm not going to go as far as MZ did, but I think that it's not enough to set it apart from the glut of zombie movies out there. If you're looking for some zombie mayhem, you definitely could do worse than this, but I think you also could do better. So this has a different take on it, but it just doesn't stand out. If you're looking for a zombie movie, you want something that, you have Shudder anyways, just check it out. It's not terrible. But it's also not really pushing things forward, like a film like Train to Busan or something like that really gets a strong emotional connection to the characters. I think this one tried to do it, especially at the end. It's kind of a downer ending, kind of a bit of a letdown. And I think what's that, Rim Shadow?
A skosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is sort of like, there is an emotional attachment here, but I think that whether it's the acting that couldn't sell it completely or just execution just wasn't quite there. So I'm going to go with a tepid treat on this one. I really went back and forth. I almost did barely a trick, tepid treat. I went back and forth, but overall, I think this does more good than bad. I think its only sin is that it's a zombie movie that doesn't let it stand out from the rest of the pack. I think that's the sin. So, I think that some people will get some enjoyment out of this. It's certainly not a terrible movie, but it doesn't really do a lot that you haven't seen before. So if you're just looking for kind of a run-of-the-mill zombie movie with a slightly different twist, give Blood Quantum a watch. And if you got Shudder to check out Blood Machines, then why not? Just throw this on if you're interested. So, all right, well there you have it. That's our film discussion, our Blood double feature. Blood Machines and Blood Quantum. And next week, we have another guest joining us. We're going to be joined by old and present friend of the show. He's been on a lot more recently. We're going to get him again. That's Professor J is going to be on with us. And Professor J is going to join us to talk about a film called The Vast of Night. And I know Jay kind of wears his reviews on his sleeve because when he makes a recommendation to us, it's a film that he likes. So I have a feeling I know what this will be. But it sounds interesting. The synopsis: in the twilight of the 1950s, on one fateful night in New Mexico, young switchboard operator Faye and charismatic radio DJ Everett discover a strange audio frequency that could change their small town and the future forever. So we're going to check out The Vast of Night. It says it's an Amazon original, so I think it's just on Prime Video. So if you have Amazon Prime, I think you can check this out right now. So if you're interested, check it out. It is The Vast of Night. That's what we're doing next week. So with Professor J. Always love talking with that dude. You excited, Raven Shadow? So you're doing a little fist pump action.
I love it. I love that he's been like a guest star. Like it's like when John Glover went from like guest starring John Glover on season 1 of Smallville to being like a regular on season 2. I love it. I'm gonna kiss him on the mouth for real. I don't give a fuck.
Jeez. Maybe he won't show up now. Don't scare him away.
Because he's fucking lonely. Okay.
Yeah.
Going out.
He'll appreciate the taste of beer and tobacco.
Well, because he's a film connoisseur. Okay.
No, he's not. He's not a sewer. He's a connoisseur.
Yeah. No. We'll fucking just sit on the couch, man. That's fine.
Sit on the couch. All right. Well, let's wind things down here. We got a couple voice messages, so let me get to these. First up, we are going to hear from Arkham Josh.
Hey, Trick or Treat Radio guys, it's Arkham Josh here. It's calling in about this week's movies. First off is Blood Quantum. I'd actually seen this when scrolling around Shudder and kind of wanted to check it out, so here was a good shot. And I liked it. I like many people, might be a little bit on the tired side of zombie films, but I thought that this worked. It presented some interesting ideas, had some really good effects, really good cast. I know the director, he had a previous feature that was on some streaming services before. I think it might have been on Hulu, maybe it still is. I think it was a crime film. I didn't get around to watching it, but I'm probably going to backtrack now and try to check it out. And yeah, so overall, I thought Blood Quantum was a lot of fun, and, you know, had some, like, good effects and story to offer. So, treat and recommend. Then I put on Blood Machines. So, Blood Machines is like a highlight reel for somebody's video, like VFX, set to a good soundtrack. And that's kind of all I can really say about it. Because, I can't really get into things when, like, it's just all CGI and animated and in that manner where it just kind of looks like a video game. It just doesn't hold my interest. I watched it, but I was probably on my phone half the time. And at the end, I was like, oh, that's it? Okay, whatever. You know, there were some cool visuals. The soundtrack was good. But other than that, trick. Can't really recommend it. Shudder's got some great original programming, but this just wasn't it. So, yeah. Interested to hear what you guys thought. You guys might get something completely different out of it than me. But, I don't know, like, if the people that did Blood Machines, if that guy, like, if he makes, like, an actual narrative film that uses that visual style, then I'll probably check it out, because it might work better for me. I don't know. But, so I liked one, didn't like the other. Hope everything's going good for you guys. Hope everybody's staying safe. And, I don't know. Hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon, alright? Bye.
All right, Josh. Thanks, man. And, I mean, I guess I'm actually glad that Josh had a different take on Blood Machines because, you know, he is, Josh is definitely a cinephile. He loves cinema. And I could definitely see his critique of it. Like, I could see someone saying, yeah, it doesn't really look like a film, it looks like a video game. And it's funny because, Aries, you did sort of make that point, is that it felt like a cutscene from a video game.
Yeah, and that wasn't an insult to
oh,
this.
yeah. So, but I can see what he's saying, and I could see somebody not being into this. Absolutely. So, you know, I think that there's enough visual flair there and enough like really interesting things going on. But yeah, I mean, I could see this not landing with someone totally. So, but he did like Blood Quantum. So there you go. Half and half. So thanks, Josh. We always appreciate hearing from you. And now let's check out our buddy, First Time Mike.
What's up, Trick or Treat family? This is First Time Mike. Hope everything is doing well in this age of the virus. Nothing much going on with me, just stuff opening up in Wisconsin here because of the lawsuits. Staying on the down low, doing just carry out, working still. Was able to sneak to a bookstore properly attired with mask and gloves, and was able to get spend some money on myself and the folks, and it was nice to get out, just something different. But for the most part, I'm staying in unless properly distanced, just to stay safe. But hope everything is well with you guys. But we got some movies to talk about today. Blood Quantum is I watched that first, and both of these are on Shudder, like you mentioned, and I've been a subscriber for a couple years now. And I was going to check this out eventually, but I'm not big on zombies right now. But I found Blood Quantum to be very clever, and using, of course, the zombies in a very Romero fashion to explore ideas of generational racism and tribalism, and, you know, the balance between is justice, safety, or revenge. And it was all explored there with some interesting characters. A little slow in the middle, but I did enjoy the zombie effects were suitably creepy, and just bursts of violence that totally caught you off guard in a couple times. And there was at least one scene that made me think of demons. But I did enjoy the movie. It kept my interest because, like I said, slow middle, but the characterizations were good. I loved the grandpa with the katana, and just some of the scenes were just great. Very dark, just some very dark humor, and just a bleakness to it that was an interesting watch. Not something I would maybe pop in just for entertaining time, but if I'm looking for just something a little bit more serious, Blood Quantum was pretty good. I give it a treat. Also, then I watched the 3 episodes of Blood Machine, and wow, this was visually stunning. A good cross between like your heavy metal comics that you would get in the magazine store, and a lot of and Michael Ravenchild might back me up on this. I feel like it has a lot of like 70s and like early 80s experimental Jack Kirby artwork, just like some of his use with Fumetti that he used, or his experimental stuff like when he did 2001 for Marvel, just vistas of like the blood and light, and just crossed over with that European comic book feel, and it was great. The plot, your guess is as good as mine. I have a general concept of what it is, but I don't want to really spoil anything because visually it's stunning. It's like a techno fantasy where ships have like the kami, where or a belief that every like item has a soul to it, and these wanderers can control or summon up the souls of ships. And the captain is such a dick that you kind of enjoy what comes to what he gets. And I did like the mechanic guy too. I don't want to say anything more because even though there's not a plot, it's visually stunning and it must be seen to be believed. I give that a treat as well, but I think you might be have to be in a mindset for it because it's very bizarre. And I enjoyed both choices. Hope everything is doing well with you guys and everybody listening. This is First Time Mike from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, we're open for business, but I'm keeping my head down. Good night and be safe. Bye.
All right, First Time Mike. Thanks for checking out. I always love hearing that dude's take, and I think it's a great take on both films. I think he's pretty much right on the money there. Raven Shadow giving you props.
You should.
I should. You're clapping for yourself.
I am.
You surprised?
Barry Horowitz over here.
Yeah. No, and I love FTM so much. When we have a cue, I'm gonna give him a hug and a kiss. But I'm not sure about the Kirby. It's why I mentioned the Starlin thing, because Starlin had more of the abstract characters, or maybe Marvel in general had the more abstract, like the In-Betweener, or like even like it reminded me of like him and her. Him became Adam Warlock, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Saw a little bit of Mobius in some of this.
Okay.
Maybe a little kind of French kind of thing with Captain Jackass. Kind of vibe, but yeah, I love FTM so much. So big ups yourself. Stay safe, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think you had a definitely interesting take on that, and yeah, glad you dug him First Time Mike, and always a pleasure to hear from you, my friend, and stay safe out there. We did get an update on Jimmy, by the way.
I'm concerned.
Oh, how's he doing? Is he alive?
Jimmy update: kid set a fire at his own house and ran away. Cops found him. Cops found him eventually, but it's Florida, so he was in fact naked and spitting at cops. Cops pinned him down safely and put on a spit shield. Jimmy did confirm seeing a boner. Florida man strikes again. Holy shit.
God, only in Florida.
That's the episode title.
Only in Florida? Or
no, Jimmy confirmed seeing a boner.
Jesus, no wonder creepy girl got out of there.
Oh God, that is fucking well. Greg, thank you for the update.
I'll send this video.
No, we don't want that. I'm glad Jimmy is okay, and I hope his dog is okay as well. That's amazing. All right. Well, I think we were, obviously we had a lot going on. We ran a little bit later than we have been doing, but we appreciate appreciate the guys sending in the voice messages, and also appreciate Greg and Jimmy joining us. That was a lot of fun having those dudes on and talking blood machines. So, anything else, or do you guys want to start to say goodbye? Yeah. Bye.
Nope.
Goodbye's getting long, Raven Shadow.
Yeah, I gotta go.
You gotta go. What do you gotta do?
I gotta make some dinner.
You haven't eaten yet?
No.
You go feed the parakeet.
Russian for jerking off? No. I did that already.
You got some You got some Uncrustables in the fridge, or what?
I do.
There you go. That's quick, right?
Yeah, no. I'm making a couple of hot dogs.
Of course you are. How you microwave or boil them? What's your way of cooking?
I'm a grown-up Johnny. I'm gonna boil them.
You gotta boil them.
Boil them.
Is that really the grown-up way?
Yeah, well, it's my way. I'm gonna boil them. I'm gonna go down and smoke a butt, and it should be warm enough. And I'll put that in, and I'll put some Rosenbaum on, and then go to bed and pray for a fucking snowstorm tomorrow.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that kind of bomb. Rosenbaum? What is that for your chest or what?
Rosenbaum.
Yeah, the Inside of You podcast. It calms me down. Ralph Macchio was on last night. There's a Bob Goldthwait episode. It's nice.
Rob Kraft? What'd you call him?
Bob Kraft Goldthwait.
Bob Kraft Goldthwait?
Yeah.
What is that? A comedian that goes into spas and gets hand jobs?
Yeah, he wins titles and gets handies in
in Florida.
That's bad. That was bad. That's bad. That's bad for business.
Yeah.
Oh, I like Tom Brady.
All right. Well, let's start to say our goodbyes then, starting with MZ.
Yeah, hey Raven Shadow, make sure you just don't set fire to the house and then run around naked outside of it, okay? And if you do, film it. Arrivederci, you douchebags.
All right, Aries.
Goodbye.
Raven Shadow.
Live fast, love hard, and go to stores with your mask on.
All right, that's okay. I still like Survive, but that'll work. How's Ollie doing? Is he good?
He's good. Yeah, no, I'm very excited. His hair's growing out, so I do have an appointment next June 6th.
Next June 6th, so July 6th, 2021.
Yeah, next June. 2021.
Well,
they're overbooked.
Yeah, they're overbooked.
But next June 6th, this 2020 June 6th.
Be careful, man.
What?
Be careful going out there in the world. Or is your mom coming to pick him up?
No. Actually, it's funny. I talked to his friend Nikki today, and there's all kinds of protocols involved where like you have to go and you gotta drop off in like outdoor like caged area. I'm like, I gotta drop my dog off outside. Yeah, when you drop him off, and then like her door opens, like
yeah,
and she comes out and takes him. I had to sign a weird like acceptance of the process, so I got to go. So my assignment is to go online on.
Oh boy, you ain't taking that appointment.
Oh.
The dog's not getting a haircut.
Yeah, the dog's not getting a haircut. You better learn how to give a haircut.
You know what I mean? Like, so I had to go online and look at the Immaculate Pooch fucking protocols to like fucking figure. It's like I feel like it'll be doors like in the fucking. You led this, Johnny, episode 1. And like, shh, and they all open up, and like Anakin's stuck between them.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. So, but I have a week to prepare.
Well, you'll need it. You better start now.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. I have to get a mask for Ollie.
All right. Well, we appreciate once again Jimmy and Greg coming on the show. Everyone, go check out the Gimme 5 podcast if you want to check out those guys on the weekly basis. And glad that Jimmy is surviving and that he saw Florida Man's boner, because that's ever important. So we appreciate those guys. Go check out their show. And next week, as I mentioned, we're going to be joined by Professor J to talk about The Vast of Night. Everyone should come hang out with us for that, because it's going to be a fun time. So that's going to do it. Stay safe out there, everyone. We'll see you next week.